Let's go preview. Okay, cool. Let's go live now. So now it's telling me it's gone live. Okay, now it's saying it's gone live. I'm not too sure what happened there, but for some reason it stopped going live and now it's saying it's going live. But it doesn't matter. We're back again. Anyway, just in case this didn't work, what a major L. I did start this again. But anyway, let's start this again just in case it didn't work. Just in case it didn't work, let's start this again. Okay? So, let's see. What's happening here? Why is it not working? Are we live or no? Are we live or not? What's happening here? I really don't know. Are we live or are we not live? What's happening? Come on, bro. Are we live or not? Let's see. Bear with me 1 second. Let's double check this. Your channel. Oh, we're live. Okay, so we are live, right? Okay, we're live then. Okay, cool. God damn. Okay, now we're live, all right? Are we live now? I think we're live. I think everything's working now. For whatever reason, it started to act up. I'm not too sure why. Why is it doing that for? Okay, cool. Let's go again. So, we're live now. Everything's good. Everything's working. What an absolute nightmare to get that going. But, you know, it's now working now. So I'm not going to stall and delay the thing anymore. So, welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show. This is me, your host, the AgostinhoZinga. No. Welcome back to the AgostinhoZinga show with your host, AgostinhoZinga. And this is episode number 651. That is 651 of the AgostinhoZinga show with your host, AgostinhoZinga. And I hope you're doing well wherever this podcast may find you. I hope you are doing splendid. This is a first trial run for me. I don't ever usually do the AgostinhoZinga show live. I usually pre-record it and then I kind of upload it later on YouTube and get it up on Libsyn and all the podcasting apps. I do a little bit of editing and cut out some of the ums and ahs and stuff and get rid of some of the transitions in between subjects and whatnot. But this time I thought I wanted to mix up a little bit because I've been enjoying going live. I'm doing the random show that I do also on my channel. If you're not listening via the YouTube, you won't have a clue about it, but I also do a little random show thing. I've also set up a separate channel for it. But now I think to discern between the two things, getting muddled up and also not to confuse or annoy you, the listeners who are watching my things, because I know some of you are only here to hear me talk about the comedy stuff. Some of you don't care about the fashion stuff, which I understand, or the cultural comedy stuff, commentary stuff, which was fine. But what I'm going to do going forward, I'm going to start doing some lives with this, of course, just to kind of build up that, useness of knowing that this kind of goes live on this channel also. And then over time, I'll slowly transition and do all the random show stuff on the random show channel, which obviously you can link to. It's all on my channel. If you go on the homepage on YouTube, you're able to see the link for that over there if you're not on there already. And of course, if you're listening via the audio side, I'll also put a link to the random show channel if you want to subscribe to that as well. But I'm going to keep them separate. But this is the AgostinhoZinga show, so everything on here will be mostly cultural commentary stuff. We're going to go through all the things I've kind of mentioned in the description. So if you haven't checked it, please do check the description for all the kind of topics I'm going to be going through. And if you're looking for all the Bappaverse, GRE, Extended Universe, Brendan Schaub, Joe Rogan, Brian Callen, all that sort of conversation, that'll be for the random show that'll come probably tomorrow. I'll probably do another one of those. And what I'm going to do is I'm probably going to stream on here, but then unlist the stream after I finish and then re-upload the full thing on the random show channel, just so there's a clear separation between, hey, this is a separate channel that does this and this place does this. Hopefully that's clear. Hopefully that's good. And of course, if you're watching and you're enjoying what you see, please along the way, just, smash that like for me. That'd be greatly appreciated. And of course, if you have any comments, chuck them in the chat. But as per usual, when it comes to the podcast, I'll just be running through all of the topics that I kind of got on top of my head, and we're kind of going to go from there, innit? Cool. So, weekend vibes. As most of you will know, if you're checking out the random show, I've been indoors all weekend. All weekend I've been indoors, which is a real big change for me. Usually I'm always outside in some regard. I think I had a bit of a rant about it on the random show that I'm getting a bit annoyed at this kind of judgment era that we're living in at the moment, this sort of lifestyle shame. And I think it's happening a lot nowadays, especially within my circle of friends or people that I know, because we're all kind of advancing in our age and whatnot. And some people maybe haven't really achieved their potential people. Some people are maybe feeling insecure about where they are. Some people are just lost and confused. And when they see somebody that's in the same age range as them, still enjoying the things that we enjoyed when we were maybe in our early 20s, it can kind of get a little bit jarring and kind of remind you that you're not really where you need to be. And then maybe, you know, me coming around and being the quintessential quote unquote party boy, it has some certain labels on it, right? It means maybe you're always getting drunk, you're always on drugs, you're always doing this. But really, when I go out, for the most part, as weird as it may be and as hard as it is, because I say all the time, raving sober is legitimately one of the most hardest and I think deadest experiences ever, especially if you got introduced to raving the traditional way, right? Through your drugs and alcohol. It's very difficult to go raving and actually go there stone cold sober and just enjoy it. I think if you got introduced to raving just as a normal person, just listen to music, it's cool. But the way I got introduced to raving and now kind of transitioning into this kind of adult raving where I could just go and watch someone DJ and just drink a Red Bull and go home, it takes a lot, but I do it quite often. I've been to flipping Berlin. I went to the Berghain completely sober. Like I spent a whole weekend in these places. I do it all the time, but I also like to play up to this image that I'm always on it. I think it's just fun. It kind of reminds me a little bit of like Future when I kind of clocked, you know, Future's one of my favorite artists, but I kind of clocked after listening to his music. I was like, hold on, this guy isn't doing all these perks. He's not drinking all this lean. He's not doing all this coke. He's not having all these ecstasy pills. It's impossible. A person like Future who has that amount of kind of flipping output in his work, and you know, over time, I feel like his recent albums have become more and more polished over time. His guest verses are incredibly strong. Some of them go incredibly viral. It's impossible that that person is still perked up every single day. Same goes for The Weeknd. But it's just nice to play into this idea that you're this maverick rock star type of guy. So I kind of play into it a little bit and I lean into it, I understand. But I don't like the judgment and the shaming and the kind of pointing of the fingers from others, as because they kind of feel uncomfortable with their own life choices. And maybe they feel like if they get around you, that you're suddenly going to be the, oh, let's go buy a baggie, oh, let's go get a drink kind of guy. And I'm never that dude. Like, I always kind of go out for my own. And I'm going to go out on my own anyway most of the time. And if I'm going out with other people, I don't kind of trying to rope them into my fun. Like, if you're having your kind of fun, you have your kind of fun. But I'm going to roll off and do my thing anyway. I don't need to kind of have some support system with me to justify my flipping, you know, adult choices and stuff. I never, ever, ever done that. So when people start to kind of point and do that thing, it kind of get on my nerves. But anyway, regardless, I do me. They can judge, they can do what they want to do, but for the most part I have like loads of periods of times in my life where, you know, maybe for a stretch, maybe 2 months, maybe 3 months, where I just don't go out. I just kind of, you know, I'm comfortable in my own skin, which I'm happy that I'm that person, but it's also a little bit worrying, like you know, how little contact I need with actual humans to be to function and stuff. I know this is kind of a cheat, because, you know, when you stream and you create content, you're kind of communicate with people as well, even though you don't see them physically. These are real humans you're kind of interacting with, so you kind of get that there. But in IRL, I can kind of go without seeing anybody for ages and ages, even though I'm really social, I'm really outgoing, I like to party, I like to dance, I like to get, I mean, like, when I go to these raves, I'm not in the back just like sitting down, unless I'm going to like a queer party where I don't want to, like, you know, invading their space. For the most part, I'm in the middle, like just going flipping crazy and dancing my face off, right? Like loads of flipping, you know, black man sweat and BO is like flying off my face. So I like to do that and get involved, but I also like to just be on my own and read, you know, autobiographies on the big man H, right? On Big H over there, right? I like to read autobiographies on the Big H as well. So I'm kind of, you know, I'm a little bit complex like that. So all that stuff happens. So I'm quite happy that I did stay in this weekend. I'm not going to lie. It's been quite nice, quite refreshing just to be indoors, not doing anything, drinking loads of green juice, as some of you guys have seen, you know, having some scrambled eggs with some beans and whatnot, and drinking loads of water and just kind of hanging out and chilling. And I know sooner rather than later, a crazy weekend will come about, but I just like the fact that I can do that, and I don't need encouragement to do anything else, because, you know, the stories that I'm hearing from some people about lifestyle, I'm like, bloody hell, because I'm sure some of you are aware, or it's not like a big surprise to some people, but, you know, I'm hearing or I've heard online stories about people like, you know, suffering from terminal illnesses. You know, a person that might have cancer or something is on the road to recovery, and then I guess maybe if you have cancer or something, maybe there is, or maybe like a terminal illness, and you're kind of, yeah, on your own road to recovery, and you feel like maybe the, you know, there's light in the tunnel, And maybe just the process of going through that chemo and just suffering and pain, all that sort of stuff for long times, and just maybe feeling like a little bit like a black, not like a black sheep, like a leper a little bit. You feel a little bit awkward around people. You don't want people to look at you like you're, like you're helpless and stuff, and whatever it may be, right? Especially if you're a woman, right? You're gonna maybe feel really ugly. Maybe if you're a guy, you're gonna feel like you're not useful. You're gonna feel like people like are like tending over you all the time, that you can't look after yourself. I'm sure these like complexes get into your head, but it's messed up to read online to see people legitimately who are going through that and kind of recovering on the other side, and now they're in a position where they're recovering and they start to party straight away. They're not even going through like the recovery stages of like taking the medication and relaxing and doing, because I'm pretty sure I've read somewhere, if you're like on recovery for cancer and stuff, you're not even meant to be doing that much exercise. You're meant to be conserving your energy, right? It's like kind of like a whole thing you're meant to be doing, because obviously it can kind of come back, which is obviously horrible. But hearing stories of people like legitimately like on the other end, after kind of getting surgery or whatnot, coming off the other end of chemo, and then decide to party, buying flipping grams of whatever, drinking and being outdoors and stuff. I'm just like, wow, man. The human brain and what we sort of like rationalize and justify in our own heads to kind of make sense is pretty wild, isn't it? So in the same token, I've got friends who maybe look at me and think, oh, I can't hang out at Agostinho because if I hang out at Agostinho, it's going to be a crazy night. And it's basically then project. Maybe it's an accurate judgment. I'm not going to say, but their projection, their kind of insecurities or their inabilities to not have any willpower or to not have any kind of personality or kind of, mind of their own, as if I'm like going to be dragging them, or kind of like telling them what to do, like I'm some sort of wizard or something. They're kind of projecting onto me in some respects, right? And trying to justify that as a way for them not to go out. In the same way where maybe if you're someone that's a cancer, survivor, quote unquote, and you're on the other end, maybe you deciding to have a couple of lions or drop a couple of pills or have a drink, you're basically telling yourself, hey, either you're a fatalist and you're like, or nihilist, sorry, and you're like, you know what, the end is going to come, we all die anyway. Or you're basically thinking, I'm on the other end now. Do you know what I mean? Like this whole recovery thing is just like, it's whatever, but I'm fine. It should be okay. And even if I'm not fine, I'm not gonna like, take this illness just lying down and not having fun. I'm gonna have fun. And if it means my time is over kind of thing, which is kind of wild to think that. But hey, maybe that's quite freeing actually. Maybe that's actually a freeing way to look at it. Like, you know what? The end is going to come regardless. This is obviously a horrible illness to get. I'm on the road to recovery. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. Because the same thing that people do when they're in hospital and they just come out of surgery and they're stressed and they want to have a cigarette. Do you know what I mean? It's like, really and truly, what's the real harm of a one cigarette? But I don't think you can really equate a cigarette to having a couple of lines or a drink or like whatever. Do you know what I mean? It's probably in two different flipping stratospheres. But hey, what do I know? Anyway, moving on from that one, I'm going to quickly mention this and talk about this because I feel like this needs to get mentioned. So, I've been absolutely blasting, smashing through Don Toliver's new album, Lovesick, and I just wanted to give it a shout out to people who haven't actually checked it out. Don Toliver, for me, is now kind of occupying that space of like specialness. Like, it's kind of like when SZA dropped Control, and I felt like, oh, this girl's got something, like she might be the one. And then obviously, SOS comes out, you're like, okay, cool, she's definitely the star. I feel like this Lovesick album is definitely the kind of precursor to the actual big project that's gonna blow him up, bigger than whatever it may be. And this is legitimately one of the best, because I kind of refer to Don Toliver. He sort of occupied that sort of like Ty Dolla $ign sort of like space, this R&B crooner who came on songs, did good verses, did good hooks, good melodies, but maybe wasn't able to put together his own coherent project. But then he did. I forgot that project that he put out that had like 5 times on it. Which one was that one? I'm gonna quickly check it out now. It's the album called Life of a Don. That was at 2021, which I thought was really good. But if anything, Life of a Don by Don Toliver, it probably fell off a little bit after like track 6 or 7. I think the first 5 to 6, 7 tracks were pretty decent, and then he kind of lost his legs. Like it felt like there wasn't enough there to kind of sustain the project, or like that kind of whatever melodies and things I kind of liked in tracks like I'm looking now on the track list, like 5 Times, Escape, What You Need, Double Standards, even 2 AM track number 9. They didn't really extend throughout the entirety of the album. Whereas Lovesick, I feel like he's taken all the good things from Life of a Don, and he sort of extrapolated it and filled it out. Not just taking songs and just kind of, copy pasted them. He sort of extrapolated it and put different parts and different bits, the switches, the flips, the flipping guest verses. it's so good, this album, right? This and the deluxe just came out. It's so good that, in my opinion, I think the Travis Scott tracks, or the Travis Scott tracks and the tracks that have come out on this, might be the weakest, in my opinion. The Travis Scott tracks are the weakest, even though they're the ones that are going to get you the most eyes, as you can see here from Genius. It's got 39,400 views, obviously, from the track called Embarrassed with Travis Scott. But for me, the best tracks that stand out on this album for sure are Luckily I'm Having featuring Tazz Touchdown, which is on the deluxe. A quick note on the deluxe: I do hate how in this era, deluxe albums, for whatever reason, it's a weird thing. So I think it's an Apple Music thing. So on Apple Music, for whatever reason, on Apple Music, if you search for an artist, right, and if you search for an artist, they've got deluxe. Here's what happens. Sometimes happen like this. So this is Don Toliver's. Let me get this back up on the screen. Let's do this again. This is Don Toliver's flipping thing, right, on Apple Music, right. Then when you scroll down to the album, you'll see the deluxe is there, right there. That's the deluxe. But the original already came out, and I've got it on my collection. So what it will do is that it will just erase the regular version. It will just give you the deluxe only, which is annoying. Cool. Then secondly, when the deluxe does drop, right, the first 4 tracks are usually the added tracks, but they're not clearly labeled. So it's just difficult to figure out. So you don't really know what you listen to, what the new tracks are. And I guess they do that on purpose, because they want to force people to listen to the new tracks. But I would much prefer, if it's a deluxe, how deluxe used to work with CDs, with that there'll be either a separate CD or they'll be at the bottom of the track list. But I guess because they want people to listen to them, they put them right at the top, and it just messes up. You don't know which one. And again, if you delete the previous album, how do I know which one's the deluxe tracks? It's just flipping annoying. But regardless, it is what it is. The deluxe came out, 4 new tracks. The best for me, I thought, was Luckily I'm Having with Tazz Touchdown. The tracks on the album itself, the track with James Blake, Let Her Go, might be legitimately one of James Blake's best songs, and he's fallen off completely. I was a big James Blake fan, or a stan, in 2019 or something, when when Retrograde and all that stuff came out back in the day. But recently he's really fell off a cliff, unfortunately. Some people, maybe myself included, think that his relationship maybe with that Jamil woman may have tainted some of his artistry, and he's never been the same again. But this track definitely restored my faith in flipping James Blake's supremacy, so big up him. The Leave the Club track with Glorilla and Lil Durk is stupendous. The way Glorilla absolutely smashes that track, probably has a better verse than Lil Durk on there. I'm not really the biggest Glorilla fan, so big up her. The other one as well, Go Down, faces Tissa Korean, who I'm not really familiar with. I really enjoyed that one. Time Heals, Leather Coat's really good. There's too many good tracks here. Slow Motion with WizKid's really good. And of course, one of the standouts is Private Landing featuring Future and Justin Bieber. Oh, ho, ho, ho. The way these two guys absolutely skate and sliver and slide and spin and pirouette on this track is absolutely incredible. Hearing Justin on what you deem to be a quote-unquote urban record again is so pleasurable for me, legitimately, because I'm one of those guys that loves Justin B on R&B. Justin Bieber on R&B on hip-hoppy pop records is just so good. And obviously he's going through his health battles at the moment. He's probably not in the right mind state to kind of give us an actual album again, but I really do want Justin Bieber to come back again and remind us of the power and of what he's really about. But honestly, Justin Bieber on here, keep going. Yeah, look at this track. He's talking about double cups. Justin Bieber talking about double cups. I guess I'm spinning. Double cup, I'm leaning. I guess I'm spinning. Double cup, I'm leaning. Justin Bieber's talking about double cups. Are you absolutely killing me? Come on, man. So yeah, I really recommend you check it out. One of my favorite albums today, and again, I think is a really good indicator of Don Toliver's stardom, and definitely I think the precursor before the big album. I think people have even said now his performances at flipping Rolling Loud are really good as well. I didn't really particularly like it too much, but the reaction from the crowd definitely showed that his star is really rising. But for sure, if you're a fan of somebody like a Ty Dolla $ign, I definitely recommend checking it out. Talking of Ty Dolla $ign, he has to be a little bit aggrieved because Don Toliver's definitely now replaced him, I think, for that kind of category. He's definitely somebody I prefer to go to, and again, consistency beats it, and he's just more visible and whatnot, and it just sounds better for now. But obviously, Ty Dolla $ign's still got a lot of talent, but he hasn't necessarily been able to put it together in a real concise album. His mixtapes usually do better, and even them, they don't really have the greatest replay value. But yeah, Love Sick by Don Toliver, definitely check it out. It came out. I think originally came out a couple of weeks ago, but obviously the Lovesick, the deluxe came out just last weekend. If you haven't checked it out, please do, man. It's absolutely banging. Really, really, really good, and I've been enjoying it so much. Then we need to talk about the most amazing and the most confusing and the most worrying and the most scary and the most hype performance at Rolling Loud. We have to talk about this. We have to talk about it. So you know what I'm talking about. My guy, Playboi Carti. Oh my God. So Playboi Carti performed at Rolling Loud. Obviously, you know, as a Playboi Carti fan and stan, we haven't really got much information about any new album. And I think obviously common sense would dictate that it was because of that domestic violence dispute arresting that happened. The story goes that some kid on the Playboi Carti Reddit randomly was just, I don't know, on the internet checking fucking police records and typed in Playboi Carti's government name, and then popped up, you know, some note that he had been arrested recently. I think it was in like December. I think it happened recently, so maybe a couple of months ago. And it was for allegedly assaulting his girlfriend, who no one knows who she is. Some like girl he's kind of kept, you know, under wraps. And at the time she was pregnant. I'm not sure if she still is or whatnot. But he basically assaulted her and he got booked for it. And I think he got obviously put out on bail. But it happened. And then obviously that news went viral. And it happened around the same time that Carti was teasing a new album. I think he went back on social media. There was a few posts of people in and amongst him and around him and stuff. A few of these people within his camp were doing interviews. You know, Joy Divisions, the other dude with the bald head that wears lots of Rick Owens and Balenciaga. All those guys were kind of popping out. So it felt like there was something in the water. Okay, there's a new album coming, new album. But it went completely radio silent when obviously, you know, people find out that he's out here allegedly beating pregnant women behind the scenes, right? Which is absolutely hilarious, especially if you're a fan of the track flipping R.I.P. on Die Lit, right? I'm gonna slap that bitch. Anyway, cool. So that happened. We haven't got much information. Rolling Loud, obviously, he booked him ages ago, and again, no information about his flipping performance. But then he did end up performing, and again, so much confusion because it went so crazy on the performance. They had to cut it short, so it wasn't the full set. Multiple times it had to be stopped because the crowd were getting too unruly. And of course it's not his fault. It's the Rolling Loud flipping crowd management and shit. Probably let too many people in, probably oversold tickets, probably kids jumped over the gates, standard thing, and it was heaving. You could see from the videos if you watch it, no one was moving. I think that's always a good sign, especially if it's a really big artist. When you just see loads of gridlock and people just swaying from left to right, it's usually a sign that they can't move. There's no space. Clearly something is happening. Clearly something is going wrong. And it was quite scary. I'm not going to lie. To see that happening, I was like, oh my God, from video. Thinking, damn, man, is this going to be like another... Is this going to be like another flipping, another Travis Scott Astroworld situation? And luckily it wasn't. Luckily it wasn't. They stopped it when they could. So big up Rolling Loud, even though they facilitated the problem, they did try to fix it. They paused it a few times. I think it calmed the crowd down. And then I think whoever's in charge made the executive decision just to kind of end the set. And I think in general, Rolling Loud are really good at that because I don't think, but you can see they clearly give their artist a specific set, like time. And if you come late, whatever time you have left is what you have left. They don't extend time, they don't do anything. Like it's run like a military operation, Rolling Loud. So I think that kind of helps. So they can make these kind of executive kind of, cold decisions without being like, oh my God, but it's Carti and he hardly performs. Anyway, he ended up performing. It was pretty good in some parts. The other parts I'm not really too fond of. It's just him screaming on the microphone. As a fan of his and loving the punk rock aesthetic and just being a fan of punk rock myself, I still think there's something to be said for hearing an artist actually rapping and singing their songs, hearing them breathe, hearing them losing their breath, hearing them missing or forgetting their lyrics. That's part of the fun of a live performance, or even improvising, during a track and mixing up words or updating the words. That's kind of fun. But for every reason, this generation of hip-hop artists, they don't like doing it. They just play the MP3 in the background and just lower the flipping highs and the mids or whatever it may be, and then just rap over it. So you're hearing double voices speaking on a speaker. It's really odd performance-wise. Or what the kids on Opium look like they do, they just play the tracks super loud and then they basically act like a DJ in effect, like kind of like a DJ or a hype man, like basically, yeah, put your hands up while the track is going. They might scream the lyrics of the chorus, but that'll be it. And I think Playboi Carti, as good as his performances are, because I like the whole aesthetic behind it, loads of smoke, kind of, there's hides himself behind it. It kind of reminds you of early days of flipping The Weeknd, where you would never like people seeing his face, and you just perform, on stage with no lights on him or no spotlights. I like all that, loads of the smoke and stuff. But I do think, regarding Playboi Carti, there's not enough lyrics in his raps. He doesn't rap a lot in the first place. If that's the case, you have to flip and rap. You have to kind of rap the words. Don't just be sitting there screaming and whatever it may be. I know it's still hype and it still adds to it, but I think his performances would go another level if he absolutely rapped every single word of his tracks. Please rap them. But anyway, that aside, he played an updated live version of Location. One of my favorite tracks from his self-titled album, right? It's legitimately a masterpiece. And this updated version I'm going to play for you, oh my God. So strap in tight and listen to this. Playboi Carti, Location, from Rolling Loud. It's absolutely stupendous.
I love you guys so fucking much. We don't have the police, the fire marshal, everyone, But as always, the most important thing is about you guys' safety. And I'm sorry, and I love you guys so much, but I have to leave.
One more song.
This for the free life.
Whoever's on that guitar, wow. My arm, where's my arm? Touch on the neck of my arm. Touch on the way of my arm. Touch on the wake of my arm. Honestly, special. If you haven't seen it already, check it out yourself. Type it in, Playboi Carti Location. It's on this channel called RGC, but I'm sure other people have edits of it done. Legitimately one of the best performances I've seen in a while. And that live rendition of it was incredible. And imagine if he just would have raps on it like normal, like actually without the vocals in the background, and just blitz it. It would have sounded incredible. It kind of reminds me of that live performance from flipping, what's his face? From DMX. I think from, was it Glastonbury or something? That epic performance on DMX at Glastonbury. And you could hear him in between the lyrics. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, breathing and shit as he's rapping his bars and the crowd swaying from left to right. That's what live performances are about. Like, it kind of, and also like I think of, because I'm a bit maybe spoiled a little bit because I got into maybe watching live performances or live music, not from hip hop. Like I listen to most of my hip hop from my headphones at home and shit, or maybe when I go to the club. But when I go out, most of the things I'm listening to are like, indie music or bands or alternative acts. And usually for the most part, I don't think I've ever heard an alternative or an indie band or something I've gone to see, or even a metal band. I've not seen any live metal band show where they play the MP3 in the background with the vocals. They never do that. It's like criminal to do that. So they always just play the instrumental or just kind of, play the whole thing, via the live band. and you get to hear the live rendition of it. And sometimes it's a better version of it live than it is actually on the album. Sometimes it can kind of spoil it for you. Sometimes you hear a band play an album cut or play through a whole album that's due to be released, and then you hear the actual thing, the studio version, you're like, oh, I prefer the live version. So you can kind of flip it in that way. But also the live show can also make you a fan of the person's work. But I remember distinctly one of the people that kind of in recent years who I love to see live was Mac DeMarco. Because Mac DeMarco was always known to kind of flip songs live. Like he'd kind of stretch out a certain bit. He'd do some live improv funny thing on stage. He'd strip naked. He'd crowd surf. Or he'd just kind of add words to it. He'll run the chorus 3 or 4 times again just to kind of make it interesting. And that kind of added to the show. So fans or people that went to see Mac DeMarco would look forward to it. Like, oh, I can't wait to see Mac DeMarco perform because I don't know what version of Salad Days I'm going to get when I see him. It's going to be this one, this. I mean, you don't know how he's going to flip it. And I really like that. But I think for whatever reason, these young kids, they don't seem to care about that. They just seem to care about getting lit, getting turned and whatnot, and just doing kind of the bare minimum for the most part. But one person I have to give credit to and kind of shout him out is obviously my guy here from the UK, who also allegedly happens to be from the same borough that I'm from here in London as well, in Newham. He says, or what, got booked for Rolling Loud, and he goes by the name of Lancey Foe. I'm sure some of you guys are familiar with him. And he performed pretty early, it looked like, and it gave him a bit of a short set. According to the video, officially from the Rolling Loud channel, it's only like a 7-minute video. And I'm not too sure if that was a 7-minute set, or they only recorded 7 minutes of it, or did Lancey Foe get there too late and he only has 7 minutes. But regardless, if they did give him a short set of only 7 minutes because he's not that well known and they want him to kind of, you know, build up his rep America in the States before he kind of gets given a bigger show, fair play. But I still think he did an amazing job for the 7 minutes he was given. He absolutely smashed it. And I'm going to play a quick clip of him performing at Rolling Loud now. Lancey Foe, 2023 at Rolling Loud. This was pretty good.
Los Angeles, make some fucking noise for yourself. Ah, you in front. I'm gonna come behind me. Yeah. Ha. Whoa. Yeah.
Moon in front.
I'm gonna come behind me.
Moon in front. Sun behind me. Moon in front.
Sun behind me. Sun behind me. This time. I got that pure dope, got in the coke, pure slow, I don't do pure weed, none of the bro, pure molly.
And look at the stage, right? Look at the crowd. So this is pretty early in the day. This is what I think, this is where you really earn your chops as a performer. You have to perform in front of these crowds that don't really know you. Because again, Rolling Loud is a kind of a two-edged sword, right? In one side is good because you get to, it's like a catchment area. All the kids that you should be trying to perform in front of to become new fans of yours, they are there. But there's also all the kids in all the world that are there. It's like too many of them. So it's hard to kind of judge or to get an idea on like who your fans are because loads of them are there and you don't have to there to see you and whatever it may be. And some of them might not know you from a lick of paint. So you're having to perform in front of them, get to kind of, you know, show who you want to be. But then also if you're performing early, you're looking out into this flipping, you know, parking lot, car park, and it's basically empty, right? It's full in the front, but you look out and you see loads of space everywhere. It can maybe bum you out a little bit. Like, you know what, oh, man, I wish I was bigger. I wish people knew me more. I wish I was all that sort of stuff. Get in your own head. But I think the key to performing, like I did, I'm giving myself a pat on the back here because it's my channel. Do what I want. So I'm going to give myself a pat on the back. What I used to give myself credit for is that even when I used to DJ at these little local bars and pubs in the area that I live in, just to kind of get some experiences to play in front of an audience, the one thing that I always loved to do, and it's something that I was kind of religious about doing, was to always perform, always perform to the max level, even if it was just a pub. Like, it doesn't mean I'm playing flipping hard techno, but I'm really giving it my all. Like, I even went as far as saying when I used to perform or play in these pubs, the bars and pubs, I never played the same set twice, ever. And this was because of I had one bad experience playing at the Alibi one time, and one girl that I knew who's kind of a part of our social circle, she said once, "Oh, is that the song you played last week or something?" Right? She noticed some song up. I guess she didn't really like it, and it kind of stuck with me. I was like, you know what? Yeah, let me put my effort in this. And even though I'm doing an early set where no one's gonna see me, I should be actually trying to make sure that I'm actively, you know, going out, listening to new songs, putting a new set together, and performing like I'm playing at the O2 or something, even if I'm performing in a pub where people are legitimately eating burgers in front of me, right? They're eating hot wings and shit. They're dipping their fries in ketchup. They don't care that I'm there at all, but I'm in the booth, like, giving it everything. You know what I mean? Like, I'm playing in a fucking Madison Square Garden. And I think it's a really good habit to get into, because once you then eventually do become big and you do end up kind of fulfilling your potential, or being everything you hope to be, those habits are still there. You're not suddenly then having to turn it on when you get into, a sold out arena. Now you start off performing like that, like a G from minute zero. And I absolutely love that. So big up Lancey Foe for performing and being professional.
I cook the games, here I am to act and shit. Okay, must look for all, had a car like better than Putin. I'm in the rules with more fat rounds than a federal you. I'm not the straight money, little never pencil, can't move. I'm a security runner beside of the car. We were wound up in the, who the fuck you screwing? From the driver's side of my tingle, what the fuck you doing? Big old hero, somebody check the you. Trying to get sassy, traffic report, I can't take you. I'm not gonna get that big old body security crew. Come on, the mic, spit one lyric, come on, I made it up. Someone died at grand finger, somebody saying it's us.
Anyway, you get the point. So he did well. Big up Lancey Foe. And there's some parts in there you should check out. Definitely recommend you check it out. One of my favorites, Lancey Foe, got a really extensive catalogue of tracks to listen to. I do like that now in person when you see him live in the daylight, because I guess I've seen only clips of him performing, in really dark, clubs and arenas and stuff, that when he performs here in the UK. He does look like a really wham version of Thugger, innit? But he does look different. I think when you see him on pictures, he looks more like, he's got this whole Playboi Carti Thugger thing going on. But when you actually see him moving around, he looks like his own person. But one thing I do like about Lancey Foe, even though they've all kind of occupied the same sort of like stylistic, aesthetic sort of choices, because it's kind of like what kids wearing nowadays, right? They're all into flipping wearing black. They're all wearing Rick Owens. They're all wearing, they all have their hair braided a certain way. It's just a thing. So it's not that bad. But what I like about Lancey Foe over the last few years, personally for me, what I like about him is that he's now become his own artist, like sound-wise. Like, I don't think you listen to a Lancey Foe album and actually be mistaken and think it's a Carti album or a Thugger album. I think now he actually sounds like Lancey Foe. And I think that's a big, big, big shift in like the last few years I've kind of heard from him. So big up Lancey Foe for that. And again, I think that kind of takes time to do so. But I think he's growing, learning, and coming into his own. And I'm happy and glad to see it. So let's continue on here. Hopefully it looks like I'm reading out on the flipping microphone thing. Hopefully it's not blasting too much in your ears. But if the microphone, or if I'm sounding a little bit crazy, please tell me in the chat if that is the case. But hopefully it's not blaring here. I keep saying I'm kind of peeking into the red every time I kind of pop. Like that, pop. But hopefully it's not that bad. But yeah, let's continue. Let's move on. So next thing I wanted to quickly touch upon was this. So as you guys know, I was in Berlin the other weekend, had a bunch of fun, really, really good, amazing fun, great. But for the first time in a long time, I didn't actually go Berghain. I actually went to every other club except for the Berghain, because I kind of went to have a bit of a housey, disco-y weekend, which was great, and I did so. Obviously, check out my previous episode and you'll be able to hear me talk about my time going to Toy Tonics, which is a dance party primarily focused on like Italo disco music essentially, and house music. And it was a really fun time. I had a blast. It was amazing. But when I was thinking of going to Berghain, I looked at the lineup. I was like, oh, there's a person on the lineup who's playing on Berghain main floor on that same weekend I was going to. That I didn't really know who they were. A couple of people. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And I went to check the Instagram at the time, and I saw from both accounts, I think one person had like less than 10,000, and the other person may had about 1,000 or something followers on there. And it got me thinking, like, for everything bad people say about Berghain, they do a really good job of booking actual up-and-coming people. So Berghain is definitely the kind of the number one place that most DJs want to play at. Apart from maybe big festivals, it's definitely the number one nightclub. Most DJs who occupy the dance music genres of like techno, house, electro, and what else, they basically want to play in that venue. And for the most part, you would imagine most weekends, because they book people every weekend and stuff, they'd have a stacked list of people line up, and it would usually be the who's who of DJing world plus their residents. So really, really strong DJs. Their residents are really, really amazing. Plus they put really big guests. But the weekend that I went, they actually booked 2 people who aren't that well known, like actual up and coming DJs. One of them in DJ Maria, this person here, who at the last time I checked, I'm pretty sure when I checked her profile before, she had less than 8,000 followers. Maybe it's gone up now since she's played at Berghain. But again, you wouldn't say this is like a big artist. Of course, she's doing her thing. She's obviously smashing it and kind of doing whatever she used to do. Congratulations to her. She clearly plays in a lot of places, maybe back home and whatnot. So she's smashing it. And then this other person on the list that I thought that I didn't really know too much of prior to going was this person called Peach on Fuse, which I have on here also. And this person, Peach on Fuse, if I'm not mistaken, has 1,597 followers. Now, I'm only saying this not to kind of deride the DJs or the people performing, but this is a credit to Berghain. This I hope should be a sign or should be something that other venues do also. Because Berghain is the number one, the biggest club in the world, the best club in the world, the one that everyone wants to play at. And they're able and willing to give a chance to up and coming people. And I think other clubs around the world, especially the ones in the UK, they would never book somebody that has like 1,000 followers. Fabric, for instance, is a good example. Even Egg and these kind of places, you have to be somebody quite notable. You have to have a name. You have to have a production. You maybe have to book it, and the only way maybe you could play it is if you have your own night. But the fact that one of the biggest clubs in the world give up-and-coming DJs a shot is really amazing and really, really cool. And I wish we had the same thing here in the UK, so that there was a clearer path to go from like, playing in your bedroom to suddenly playing in front of a crowd. Whereas now there's not really. The only path that I kind of know from personal experience that could kind of work, from going to playing on a MIDI player to going to play in an actual venue like Printworks or like Fabric or like Fold and stuff, is to maybe just run your own night. And of course, running your own night requires money. It requires you having to book people. It requires organization, blah, blah, blah. So it's a whole different affair. It's a different skill set. Just because you're a good DJ doesn't mean you're going to be a good event promoter. They're 2 separate things. But if you actually want to get your name out there, if you can't produce or you don't want to produce or you just want to DJ, that is really the only way to kind of get booked. It's very rare, I would imagine, maybe unless you get booked for Unfold at Fold or something on a Sunday, I can't ever imagine a scenario where they would book somebody they didn't know that has like 1,000 followers on flipping social media. It wouldn't happen. But still, these people are amazing. Obviously big up DJ Maria. I'm sure that bump of playing at Berghain helped. Got loads of views here, 8,000 more for a whole mix that happened recently. So clearly these things help in terms of getting your profile out there. But I just wanted to give those guys a heads up and kind of a shout out, because I don't necessarily see that thing happening with other smaller clubs. And I think the good thing with Berghain is that they set the trend and set an example, obviously with the whole like no photo policy and shit. But I wish other clubs would, instead of just copying the no photo policy and all that sort of malarkey, actually copy their programming, right? They have resident DJs, people that play there every weekend, a whole slew of people that kind of play there, like people like Roy Perez being a good example, and a few others, right? They kind of have them playing there all the time. Why not have the same thing? And even someone like Etep Kyle is another resident DJ there also, right? And I think Aurora Halls also, and somebody else. Forgot anyway. These people are always they play there kind of every other weekend. Why can't other big clubs have the same thing? Why is it always kind of left to places like Berghain to do it? Other clubs should do it as well, especially here in the UK. And I wish they would do it, because it kind of would give people like myself on the come up a clear path of how we can kind of get from like 0 to wherever on that sort of level. But yeah, big up DJ Maria, big up Peach on Fuse for being able to play on flipping at Berghain during that weekend. Absolutely smashed it clearly and had a great time. So love to see it. You absolutely love to see it. Okay, so what people want to, moving on from here. Let's do this. What's I wanted to talk about here? Let's move on, but bear with me 1 second. See if I can get this stuff out I want to talk about. Yeah, cool, this one. So quickly talk about this. So this has been in the news. This is like local UK news stuff, but this is pretty hilarious. So recently, this really big thing's happened in the UK, where one of our politicians, Matt Hancock, text messages have been leaked to the public, and Matt Hancock was like, kind of substantial, was the health minister I think at the time during COVID-19, and a lot of the stuff that he was talking about in private behind the scenes about COVID and about lockdowns and about restrictions and stuff has obviously been put out to the public, and of course it's not too forgiving. And also other stuff concerning our now Prime Minister Rishi Sunak in terms of his initiative, which was a thing called the Eat Out, Help Out scheme. And at the time, the Eat Out Help Out scheme was essentially the government's way to kind of revive the economy, to kind of get people out eating and stuff and going to stores and shopping and buying drinks, buying food. And I think the whole premise around it was that on a certain day in the week, I think it was like a Wednesday or something, everywhere you went, you basically were able to get half price food, like menu options and stuff. So it kind of, encourage people to get back out again. And you'd hope if people are willing to go eat, it means they might go get a haircut. It means they might go and buy a new outfit, all that sort of stuff kind of tied into it. But at the time, myself included, were thinking, hold on, if you have these Eat Out Help Out schemes, but then you still have restrictions in terms of people gathering places, at the time clubs were still closed, it doesn't make any sense. If anything, you're kind of, if you're under this premise that everyone has to kind of like stay in to keep people safe and stuff and whatnot, then going out to eat, even if you're wearing a face mask and you're behind some stupid Perspex shield that only goes up to here, surely that's still not going to be good, because it's going to mean people are going to be infected and whatnot. But the government kept telling us, no, relax, it's okay, everything's fine, just comply. Okay, we complied. And now, many years after, it's now been leaked and put out there that the government knew all along. They knew all along that it was a bad idea, and they still went ahead with it and kind of essentially covered it up, just so they can get this scheme rolling. So it says the following. Matt Hancock leaks lead to cover-up fears over the Eat Out Help Out scheme. It says Rishi Sunak faces calls from an inquiry into whether the Treasury Office buried or ignored evidence that his 849 million, God almighty, nearly $1 billion it cost, that scheme, Eat Out Help Out scheme, fueled the spread of the pandemic. Officials dismissed the Warwick University study in October 2020 that said Sunak's initiative may have caused significant rise in COVID infections. The report estimated an 8 to 17% detected new clusters could be linked to the scheme. So essentially, people died off the back of this scheme. Legitimately, people died. So the government were complicit in covering this up. And essentially, you could say, without being hyperbolic, that they have blood on their hands. Legit blood on their hands. Of course, something will happen, but these people should be tried for war crimes. This is horrendous. Despite the government categorically rejecting the findings, the publications of former Health Secretary Matt Hancock's WhatsApp messages appear to confirm that there were concerns about the then Chancellor's scheme in summer 2020, driving an increase in infections. In the leaked messages obtained by the Daily Telegraph, Hancock told the Cabinet Secretary Simon Cass that he had kept it out of the news and that the initiative was spreading the virus. He said that his departments had informed the Treasury and was protecting officials. Jonathan Protz, a professor of economics and public policy at King's College London and a former civil servant at the Treasury, said, "It looks on the face of it that the Treasury was deliberately trying to conceal that evidence was about Eat Out, Help Out. We need to know what exactly the Department of Health told the Treasury, what was said internally about the data, and what the advice was for the ministers." He said the evidence to date suggested that there had been a cover-up and the Treasury needed to publish all the relevant documents. He said it was disgraceful and unprofessional to dismiss the Warwick University paper, which was on a matter of significant public interest, and there should now be an inquiry. But just imagine, all the backlash and the fallout from COVID is still going on. People are still being flipping flocked and punished. And even Matt Hancock, he's never ever going to recover from this. He tried to revive his career, become a reality TV star, and he even, in the process, he did put out a book actually, which obviously led to these leaks, which is another incredible story and another warning and a sign why most people should never trust journalists, myself included. I spoke about a story recently concerning some stuff that happened to me in the past, and I had a few journalists reach out to me about kind of taking part of this story, this documentary, and I was sort of flirting with the idea, that could be good to kind of speak about this and get it out there and whatnot, get my little 5 minutes of fame. But I was like, you know what? I've listened to too many podcasts, I've read too many articles, I've seen too many documentaries where I know journalists will always kind of, essentially bite you in the butt. They're always going to do that. They're always going to look out for themselves, and you will be the unwitting or the unfortunate victim. So I was like, you know what? My story's out there anyway. I've got my own platform. I can say what I want, and to a certain extent, I said my piece, and that's enough. I don't need to kind of have it funneled and interpreted and twisted through a journalist. And Matt Hancock now knows, because this lady here called Isabel Oakeshott, how you pronounce her name? Isabel Oakeshott, right? This woman was essentially the ghostwriter for his autobiography. right? And Matt Hancock being the UK's former health secretary, one of the people that is in charge of kind of mandating, COVID-19 policies. This lady was hired by Matt Hancock to ghostwrite and to help him kind of put together his autobiography, talking about his time during COVID and what he learned and blah, blah, blah. Basically, his attempt to kind of revive his reputation. Cool. They did the book. They put it out. The book does horrible. It doesn't sell well because everyone bloody hates Matt Hancock and blames Matt Hancock for essentially ruining their lives, destroying their businesses, and basically changing them fundamentally as people, right? Because COVID and pandemic has changed us fundamentally. Cool. That happens. Now, for whatever reason, this lady, in the process of writing her autobiography, Matt Hancock handed over to her a zip file of all of his WhatsApp messages, over 100,000 of them. And she decided that it was in the interest of the public to publish them. So somebody that he hired and paid money to made her sign an NDA, took his WhatsApp messages, used them to write the book, and then later, after releasing the book, then released the flipping findings out to the public. So essentially, she double dipped. She is able to get paid a fee, whatever it was, to consult for the book, and then she released the findings of the WhatsApp messages to the public for public interest because of all the betrayals and scams and stuff about COVID. And now she's on a press tour all over the place, getting appearances, and even if she's not being paid for his appearances, these all add to her kind of social clout credit. So it's kind of getting her more fame and whatnot out there. So Matt Hancock got absolutely FCUKED'd by this journalist, and it's another proof again why you should never ever trust a journalist, because they're always going to look out for number one. So this is a story courtesy of Talk TV. Talk TV's on why she betrayed Matt Hancock. She says, speaking to Talk TV's Julia Hartley Brewer, she defended her actions as being in the public interest because people are still paying the price for decisions the government made during the pandemic. Acting in the this isn't about embarrassing individual politicians. It's about making sure it's a catastrophe isn't repeated. Now, another thing I probably need to note, the journalist thing as well, it does help when you're a woman, innit? Because I don't think Matt Hancock is handing over messages from WhatsApp, private ones, and getting buddy-buddy with this woman. She didn't look the way she did, right? She wasn't white and blonde. I'm not saying she's hot, but standard white guys love a good blonde, right? It's just what they get kind of, it's like black guys with like big bums or Latinas. It's kind of our kryptonite. For a standard white dude like Matt Hancock, his kryptonite is going to be a blonde lady, right? Especially if she's educated and she's, worldly, cultured, a bit funny and whatnot. Like, that's definitely going to be the thing. So they were probably flirting at some coffee shop and he handed over the USB thinking he was a flipping playboy. And she absolutely stabbed him in the back. And it continues, says, I make no apology whatsoever for acting in the public interest on this. It's a matter of utmost importance that we get to the truth of what really happened during the pandemic. And the government's response to the pandemic. The allegations are based on over 100,000 WhatsApp messages. Isabel was provided by Mr. Hancock while working on his Pandemic Diaries memoir that gave an insight into the government's handling of the pandemic. Mr. Hancock has denied the claims. I hate the Pandemic Diaries title of his autobiography because it reminds you of that time. Do you remember during the pandemic, during lockdown, when everyone kept posting like, okay, day 3 of lockdown, like they kept doing these like social media diaries, like day 77 of the lockdown, like sometimes being funny, but sometimes just like being like legit. I'm going crazy. And it's like, look, we're all going crazy. Like, shut the fuck up and just, take it like the rest of us. Why you need to vocalize it and get us to flipping, flipping bombard us with your misery? We're all dealing with it like in our private way, but people wanting to kind of label it and put it out there as bits of content. It just annoyed me. Anyway, it continues. The messages reveal former Health Secretary Matt Hancock was involved in a bitter behind-the-scenes clash with then Education Secretary Sir Gavin Williamson over moves to keep schools open during the pandemic. Other messages confirm the COVID-19 test was couriered to Jacob Rees-Mogg home for one of his children by health officials during the pandemic, and Mr. Rees-Mogg claimed he did not ask for it. This is one of the most egregious ones. If I'm not mistaken, there was a time in the UK where COVID-19 test kits were running low. Because I don't know about your country where you're at, but in the UK, we had a scheme where you get it for free. You just have to fill out a government website and they'd send them to you. And usually they'd come within a couple of days. But for whatever time, there was a shortage of them and you couldn't get any. And you had to pay for them to get some, whatever it may be. And they're just hard to come by regardless, even if you paid for them. But this flipping government official, Jacob Rees-Mogg, because one of his kids felt ill and basically had a cold or had COVID, he personally got a kit couriered from the kit flipping location to his home, tested it, put it back in the courier's hands, sent it back, got the results quicker than everybody else. So essentially jumped the queue. Whilst everyone else is waiting, people are dying, people are not sure what they've got. These guys are just helping themselves. While they're having parties, while they're gathering in place, eating behind closed door restaurants and stuff. Absolutely horrifying. But yeah, this is just definitely confirmation again for anybody that needed to have it, that you should never, ever, under any circumstances, trust a journalist, because they will eventually always stab you in the back and look out for their own interests, as of course that lady's proved. No surprise whatsoever. Big up Matt Hancock for being that feels like a bit of a honey trap, innit? That does. It feels like a honey trap. But anyway, moving on from that one, let's talk about this, which I think is pretty cool. So this is courtesy of The Atlantic. It's a pretty cool article, right? It says the following: low-wage jobs are becoming middle-class jobs. Millions of low-income families are experiencing less financial stress and even a modicum of comfort, which is brilliant. So essentially what they're saying is that for whatever reason, we're in a state of now the economy, maybe because stuff is kind of like leveling out or whatnot, and we're kind of coming out of whatever mini recession we're in. But it now means that people that want to, basically the competition for low skilled jobs, especially if you're an employer to get employees, like you're having to compete for people now to get your job. So in order to draw them in, these low paying jobs are now increasing the hourly wage. So before, I remember for me, when I used to work retail or work in bars, in bars. Sorry, I just glanced at the chat and I saw someone typed in 7-0. Hey, whoever typed that in, it's Teju. Go and dance in traffic. We're not talking about that right now, okay? This is a podcast. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know what 7-0 is referring to. I've not seen anything. I don't know. I don't even know English that well. I just come to the country recently. I don't know what's going on. I have no idea what you're speaking about, and this is my final word on it. Okay, I don't know what you're talking about. So continuing on, these low skilled jobs now, these employers are now forced to pay people more money in order to kind of attract these players to come in, which is great. Because I remember for me when I used to work retail, I used to work in the service industry. I remember like a time when I got promoted. This is a promotion. Imagine I had a job where I was working as a sales assistant, and then I was able to kind of apply to become the supervisor, which is not even the assistant manager. It's kind of the level of below assistant manager. But you get the keys. You're able to kind of put the rota together. You're able to kind of do stock takes and stuff, maybe merchandise, but you're not really like management. But you're still management in a way, which is kind of a cheap way for him to kind of get more out of you. Regardless, I digress. At the time, I was working on a shop floor as a sales assistant full-time, and this was at Dr. Martin's. I was getting £8 an hour. And for me, that was like great, especially if I was living at home. Amazing money. Then suddenly, I applied for the promotion, quote-unquote, to be the supervisor role. And I was applying it. I was competing with another guy that was working for the time, and it probably led to us falling out. Actually, I remember recently once he added me and then unfollowed me on Instagram. I think he still feels salty about it because I think he was meant to get it, and then he kind of fluffed the interview, and I kind of got it, even though I wasn't working there that long. So I then got the promotion to become a supervisor, and my manager made a big deal about me getting a pay rise. I was like, oh my God, I'm going to get a pay rise. And I in my head think I'm going to get a pay rise. It's going to be mad money. I get a job, I officially I get the contract, about to sign it. I look at the hourly wage and the increase that I got from being a full-time sales assistant with having no managerial duties or responsibilities and then being a quote-unquote key holder, the only promotion bump I got was £1. So I went from earning £8 an hour to £9 an hour, being basically a quasi-assistant manager without the title. I was a supervisor. I was still, somewhat in charge and had to do the rota and had a key and had to do stock and whatever it may be. But I was only getting paid £9 an hour. £9 an hour. So I remember that being like a real piss take. I was like, bloody hell, man. People, I know it's not like, I'm not a programmer at the time. I wasn't, I wasn't doing flipping heart surgery or something, but it was still a hard job. It still required a lot of you, and it should be getting paid way more than £8 an hour, regardless. So it's nice to hear that now times have moved on where the kind of entry level or the kind of standard wage, I think now the entry level wage, I think for a job like that is maybe like £9 or something. So it's even increased now. So I'm sure in other places, especially if you go work for like a designer brand and you're working for, let's say, like a Balenciaga, for sure they're going to pay you way more per hour. But it's good that they're having to compete. Like the market's kind of forced that. So people that would be getting low wage jobs are a little bit more picky and now the employers are having to kind of, acquiesce and do as. So let's quickly read the topic and it'll kind of go over the things I spoke about. It says, last month, Target announced that it would pay new employers as much as $24 an hour and extend health benefits to anyone working at least 25 an hour hours a week. The company is hardly the only one coughing up cash to lure in new workers or retain those on staff. Starbucks recently set a national minimum wage of $15. McDonald's, Dairy Queen, and Subway franchises have been offering signing incentives, and Lowe's is giving bonuses to hourly workers this month. For me, I say this because I've always operated, and again, maybe people are different, but because I've always had like kind of, aspirations and dreams to do other things, right, outside of working for the man, I've always looked at jobs a little bit, it's kind of bad, I've kind of matured now, but I kind of looked at jobs a little bit beneath me. I kind of thought, you know what, I'm always going to make it, I'm going to do something good. But that's obviously not a good attitude to have. You have to always respect your job, respect your work, and kind of, I kind of now treat my work as an opportunity for me to kind of make money that I can then funnel back into stuff that I want to do, whether it's buying DJ equipment, buying camera stuff, designing things, printing things, whatever. That's where I use that much. So I kind of respect that job because it's giving me the funds to do that. Obviously, it gives me some structure also, meet new people, learn new skills, blah, blah, blah. But even if you don't respect jobs and you just treat them solely as a thing for you to make money, a good flipping, I think, incentive for you to work is to pay more, right? To pay slightly more, because then it gives you a reason to be professional. It gives you a reason to be on time. It gives you a reason to just be a good employee. And I think that's really important in general. Even if you don't respect your job, just be a good employee and don't be like a drag, be like an addition. People are not going to be upset if they see your name on the road, so like it's going to be a long night. No, you want to be like kind of, you want to help out people and shit. But a good way to help out people and stuff, I think, just to pay them more per hour. You pay them more per hour, I'm turning up on time every single day. Do you know what I mean? I'm not really asking for many holidays. I'm going to be banging out as many hours as possible, stacking my cash, and then maybe taking a long trip, but I'm going to be on it like Sonic. And I think this is a good way to kind of get people's buy-in. Instead of doing the whole fake, we're a family nonsense that startups do, pretending like, you care about the app that you're working, the company that you're working for, when you don't really, just incentivize them by giving them more money, maybe some bonuses and perks along the lines if you do want to progress, so that if you want to just work, just so you can buy your flipping Amiri jeans and you can, continue paying your car note, you can. But if you obviously want to progress and you want a career and you want to climb up the ladder, you can also. I think it works both ways. It continues. This is good news. What is even better is that such pay bumps are not just a recent trend. After the brutal few decades in which low-wage jobs proliferated, the American middle class hollowed out, the working poor that have started to earn a lot more, many low-wage jobs have become middle-wage jobs, and incomes are increasing faster for poorer workers than for wealthier ones, a dynamic known as wage compression. Oh, I don't know, there's a term for it. Wage compression. Me like it. As a result, millions of low-income families are experiencing less financial stress and even a modicum of comfort. Though the country's surging rents and rising price of inflation are burdening them too, the yawning gaps between the different groups of American workers, black, white, young and old, and those without college degrees and those with one, have stopped widening and started narrowing. Measures of poverty and income inequality are dropping. I hesitate to call this the Great Compression, given that the earnings disparities remain the dominant feature of American labor market and American life, but it really is a remarkable trend, a half-decade old, little compressions that policymakers should do everything in their power to extend, expand, and turn great. Labor economics have identified two phenomena, one incremental, slow, one radical and sudden, that have boosted the fortunes of the working poor. The first is the unemployment rate has gotten low enough for long enough to force companies to compete for workers, thus raising wages. We love to hear it. You love to hear it. The jobless rate trickled down excruciatingly slowly during the Obama years and has did the ratio for job seekers openings. But by the time the President Donald Trump took office, employers in many parts of the country started to struggle to find or retain workers. We finally had the tight labor market with well-functioning job ladder, meaning that people were leaving the worst-paying jobs, said whoever that person is. The economists at University of Massachusetts. States and cities lifting their minimum wages might have helped bolster the trend. Indeed, one analyst found before the coronavirus hurt, hit, wage compression was occurring only in states that were lifting their minimums. So wage compression is happening. Low paid workers are getting paid loads of money, and I'd love to hear it. If you want to read the entire article, you can. It's available there on The Atlantic. Low wage jobs are becoming middle class. I'll put the link for this in the description once this show has finished, so you can check it out if you haven't already. So you can check it out if you haven't already. Next on the list, let's talk about this. Let's talk about this. Let's move on from that one, not that. Let's talk about this. Yeah, this is a really interesting one. So, have you guys seen this? This is pretty wild, isn't it, right? So, I don't really follow basketball too much, but I know this guy because I just see him on social media all the time. Ja Morant has been in a bit of hot bother because for whatever reason he decided to jump on Instagram Live and brandish a gun while he's wearing this like really tight diamond choker around his neck and playing whatever music he's playing in the background. And you know, for most kids or for most rappers and stuff, it wouldn't be a problem, but him being a professional NBA player, a current very what's that called, very visible and very popular NBA player, is definitely something that you shouldn't be doing in the slightest. And it's made even worse because the kid, if I'm not mistaken, comes from a pretty good background. Like, he was raised in a pretty decent family, in a good neighborhood and whatnot. And by all accounts, he never was a real troublemaker. So to suddenly, in your like mid-20s or early 20s, to suddenly turn into some goon is really cringy. You see it a lot online, which I'm liking. As much as people like to kind of proliferate or kind of, you know, egg on this whole gang culture thing with documentaries and shit online, you do see this meme online with people taking a piss out of certain people who like join gangs in their late 20s. It's kind of it's kind of R-worded. For the most part, you would imagine, you know, from even me being in like bad neighborhoods, most of the kids that end up in gangs, it's not necessarily something you do to kind of show off and be cool. It's just something that happens because of the, you know, the environment you're in. And sometimes you don't even realize you're in the gang until you're in one, because your friends are just your friends. They just, you know, you don't even think about them as gang. You're just kind of people you hanged around with since you were like 5 or 6 years old. So it's for kids who grew up in circumstances that didn't require them to roll in groups of packs of gangs of people to protect themselves, to go from living in a private to living in a good area, being in a private school, but then want to adopt all that lifestyle, someone that lived in those kind of neighborhoods, is really bizarre. It doesn't make any sense. People are obviously going crazy over it. So, courtesy of the BBC, Ja Morant, Memphis Grizzlies guard, takes full responsibility as NBA investigates social media video. Memphis Grizzlies star Ja Morant says he takes full responsibility for his actions as the NBA investigates a video that appears to show him holding a gun in a nightclub. Oh, that's cool. I thought he was at home, so he's in a nightclub. God almighty. All-star guard Morant, 23, appeared to hold up a handgun in a live broadcast on his Instagram page on Saturday. It occurred hours after the Grizzlies lost. They lost as well. Imagine, man. The goal and some professional athletes nowadays have like no shame. I talk about even footballers being the same thing. You'll see these footballers, like my team, Man United, we lost flipping 7-0 to our worst rivals, our most fiercest rivals, Liverpool. And you'll see some of these flipping Man United players posting videos of them in the club somewhere, driving their car, doing this, like just with their, like not having a care in the world how this might affect the fans. For me as a fan, I can't watch football for the next week. I skip watching Match of the Day. I'm not watching Match of the Day. I'm not watching the highlights. I'm going to avoid all social media and football stuff. I'm blanking it all out. That's how much it hurts me. But the players, they don't give a crap. You know what I mean? This guy was in a club brandishing guns, throwing up gang signs when the Grizzlies just lost. He's like, what? Morant, who's been suspended for at least 2 games, apologized and said that he would get help. He says, I take full responsibility for my actions last night. I'm sorry to my family, to my teammates, to my coaches, to my fans, partners, the city of Memphis, and the entire Grizzlies organizations for letting them down. I'm going to take some time away to get help and work on learning better methods to dealing with stress and my overall well-being. Stress? Come on. Are they gonna try to turn him being infatuated with gang culture into mental health, into a mental health thing? It's not. He's just a dumb kid. And if anything, it shouldn't be a surprise. If all these rappers nowadays, the most popular ones especially guys from the drill scene, they're legitimately, I won't say glorifying, but their lifestyle is that, right? They're spinning the block, they're lining up ops and stuff, blah 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 blah. It's no surprise that young kids growing up are also gonna maybe, fantasize about that lifestyle, especially if you're not from it. It's gonna be a little bit more romantic, a little bit more like, starry eyed to you than actually people that live that life for real. So I kind of get it. But to kind of spin it as a mental health thing is not really taking accountability. If anything, you're sort of pushing accountability or responsibility to those bad gangster people. No, gangsters are always going to exist. Goons are always going to exist. It's up to you, if you've grown up in a good environment with good parenting, to make the good decision. Because again, his parents must be super pissed off because his parents probably did everything right. They put him in the right school. They probably didn't even beat him at home. They treated him like an adult. They gave him loads of personal responsibility. And just now, when he just signs a big contract, he's got a shoe with Nike, the flipping, the world's his oyster. Right, his highlights on YouTube and in Twitter are racking the thousands of views. Even his sister, who plays women's basketball, his sister, right? His sister's getting a bit of the clout from him. That's how famous he's getting. You're becoming so famous, your siblings get some of your rub, right? So you're lifting everybody up at once. Everybody's becoming a multi-millionaire because of you. And then this is the time he decides to start brandishing guns and start playing thug and all that malarkey. That's not mental health. That's just you being an idiot. Take responsibility and stop. Do you know what I mean? Leave it alone. It's not for you. Like, it is what it is. NBA spokesperson Mike Bass said, "We're aware of social media posts involving Ja Morant and we are investigating." In a statement, the Memphis Grizzlies said that Ja Morant will be away for the team for the next 2 games. That's what it takes. It only takes 2 games to not be a goon. After pretending to be a goon and trying to say you're riding out on ops, and what's he gonna do? Is he gonna make a diss track against that NBA commissioner, the guy that's got like the pencil neck with a bald head? After doing all that, all it takes is 2 days of deconditioning. 2 days of him watching really wholesome videos of like Kobe Bryant, watching clips of like I don't know, Magic Johnson doing some philanthropy, watching highlights of Michael Jordan working out in the gym, or rewatching that fucking Chicago Bulls documentary on Netflix. That's all it takes. And then he's gonna come back. He's gonna be like, "I'm new now. I'm focusing on the game." It's like, come on, man. The Grizzlies are the second in the Western Conference. They face Los Angeles Clippers on Sunday, the Los Angeles Lakers on Tuesday. In the next 2 games, Morant is averaging 27.1 points and 8.2 assists per game this season and made his second consecutive All-Star appearances last month. But yeah, it's all him. It's an idiot move. I don't think I've never seen it in life in real time. Somebody hustling backwards, like you get given everything and then you just like fumble it. If anything, it kind of reminds me a little bit of Brendan Schaub, right? The fact that Brendan Schaub kind of got every cosign, the best introduction into the game, and still manages to mess it up. That's a similar kind of thing, but this is even worse because when you come from like the black community, you making it in sports and becoming a professional athlete, regardless if you went to private school, that is like a generation. That's like a generational change in circumstances. If you do right by your sport, by your talent, by your gifts, you can legitimately uplift your entire family for generations to come. Like you can set the precedent. Look at LeBron James, right? I mean that his kids are set for life, all because he knows how to fucking throw a fucking ball into a hoop. That's what he can do for you. He can really take you from like 0 to whatever else at the top. So the fact that he's willfully and willingly pissing it all up a wall is hilarious, literally hilarious. And I think for once his family like rung the emergency bell. They got everybody involved, uncles, aunties, extended families, ex-pros, friends in the media. They all probably did an intervention and said, "Look, guy, you cannot mess this up. Like, you are legit, not even a breadwinner. You are like the person that's going to be giving everybody an opportunity to kind of make something for themselves." Like I said before, his sister is getting hype on social media because she plays basketball and they look similar. She's getting a rub. There's probably an auntie in his community that's opened a restaurant because of the money he gave her, and she's using his face to market the thing on social media, and people are like, all these things are happening because he just plays basketball really well. And he's kind of got all these responsibilities now with other people that he has to look after. Obviously himself also, but he has to keep that in mind. So to willfully and willingly do what he's doing now is legitimately hilarious to me. Because I don't know why. Sometimes when I see people like fucking up on purpose when they don't have any reason to, it's like, wow, man, you're doing this like with full consciousness. And I don't like the flipping mental health spin again. Too many people kind of leaning on mental health. Just take responsibility. You messed up. You did it wrong. You did it oopsie. Do right and kind of correct it going forward. But, maybe he actually wants to be that guy. Maybe this is actually him going forward. You never actually know. So maybe you're kind of denying him you're denying him of the ability to kind of be his actual true self. Maybe that's the thing you're doing to someone like that. You're denying him the ability to be his actual true self. You're just kind of, leaving him to be there somewhere else. I think, nah, man, just embrace it. But yeah, but it also got me thinking a little bit. Has some correlation, again, maybe a bit of a stretch, but this might have some correlation to what's been going on with Michael B. Jordan. A little bit. So I'm sure most of you guys are aware, again, it's a bit of an old story, but recently, Michael B. Jordan, new film Creed, I think it's Creed 3, came out, right? And he's been going viral on flipping social media because he's on a red carpet for his movie. I think he actually produces it too. So whatever, right? So his movie that he's starring in, he's on a red carpet and he gets interviewed by this woman called L'Oreal. And this lady was somebody that went to high school with him. And in a previous interview, before Creed came out a long time ago, she said in an interview that when she was coming up in school, all her and her friends used to tease and somewhat bully Michael Jordan because they thought he was corny, because he was, I don't know, he was all about, making it as an actor. He was working out a bunch. According to her, he used to carry his headshot around places, tell people about his dreams and stuff, just kind of, a go-getter type in school. We've all got them. We all knew that personality of somebody who was kind of, acting like a star when they were like in high school. We've all seen that person. So every reason, her and her friends didn't basically vibe with it and kind of teased him about it. Obviously, some years passed along the line, and now here's Michael B. Jordan on the red carpet of his movie getting interviewed by this girl that used to tease her, and she brings it up in the interview. She brings it up, and Michael B. Jordan, I think, does the most subtle, and the best humble flex ever, because if that was me, if I'm Michael B. Jordan, and somebody used to quote-unquote bully me, especially a girl, especially a black girl, whatever, racially ambiguous, but let's say a black girl, especially a black girl, if she bullied me in school back in the day and now she get teased, and in a predominantly black school by another black girl, and I used to giggle every time I'm walking by in a hallway and throw things at me and say little jokes or quips at me or whatnot, and not invite me to parties and all that sort of stuff, and just tease me for being somebody that didn't want to just smoke weed and chill out and I was actually chasing my dreams. If I was him and I suddenly turned into Michael B. Jordan, I would be shitting on you so hard. I'd be laying my entire ballsack on your forehead. The entire thing. The entire ballsack on your forehead. Skin and hair included. Like a little hat. Like a little toupee. Lying it on your head. Saying, how do you like me now? That's what I'd be doing. But Michael B. Jordan is way more classy than I am. And he didn't. He just did a slight little, I know who you are, Ting. Let's quickly play the clip here.
Jordan, the director and the star of Creed 3. And, we know each other. We go way back all the way to Chad Science in Newark, okay?
Oh, the corny kid, right?
No, I did not say that. Misquoted for sure.
Look at his face. I did not say that. Misquoted for sure. She's like, no, I saw it. I heard it. I saw it. And the original quote itself, if I remember correctly, looking up at this page, it's got the actual quote of what he said, right? Was this. This is what she said, the woman herself. She says, on this article, scroll up here, that's when L'Oreal who went to school with him at 7 to 12th grade academy in New York back in the day, said in regards to the corny comment that he definitely gave the vibe to his classmates. At the time, he was trying to get his career off the ground as a young model and actor. She admitted they were always making him the butt of the joke, so making fun of him. In school, basically, even if you're a girl, it doesn't matter that he's a boy and you can probably beat her up. The fact that you're making someone the butt of the jokes, essentially you're bullying them. So that's basically what they were doing. She says, you know what's so crazy? I went to school with Michael B. Jordan at that point in my life. We went to Chad Science Academy together in Newark. To be honest with you, we teased him all the damn time because his name was Michael Jordan. Let's start there. And he was no Michael Jordan. That is pure hate already, right? She said, he also would come to school with a headshot, and we lived in Newark. That's the hood. We would make fun of him like, what you gonna do with your stupid headshot? And now look at him. So she's even hating till this day. She's still hating, which you have to give her props. She's continuing to hate, continuing on. But I'll say all this to say, to take into account the flipping Ja Morant story, this is kind of the issue and some of the kind of hassles of kind of being black in general, right? Because on one side, you've got this kid who kind of wants to proliferate, who kind of wants to kind of adopt and sort of like, absorb and kind of play up to the image of being like some sort of gangster because of the music he listens to or because of what he sees in culture overall and maybe because of where he's from, blah, blah, blah. Even though he hasn't grown up in those circumstances, right? He kind of idolizes and puts it on some sort of level. He wants to be a quote-unquote real N-word. But then on the other side, you got this guy, Michael B. Jordan, who from an early age, he already says in interviews that he didn't drink, he didn't party much, but he was always on job. And if you think about it, I think he was in The Wire really early on. He was in Friday Night's Lights. Like, clearly he had a goal and an aspiration that he was trying to kind of aim for. And he was really laser focused even from that age. So because of that, and because of how he carried himself, he was corny. And he got teased and mocked for it. This guy grew up really good, really rich, really nice in Ja Morant and never really exposed to a ghetto any kind of way. Makes it, sees that culture now becoming popular and wants to adopt it, and he's looked at as quote unquote being real. Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's a nonsense. Either way, it's a nonsense. Just be yourself. Just actually be comfortable in your own skin and be happy with whatever way you grew up. Whether you grew up in the slums and you had to get it from the mud, cool. Credit to you. Keep it going. No one cares. Do you know what I mean? Still become a decent human being. It doesn't mean because your circumstances are horrible that you have to kind of be like that until your adult ages. Grow up. Mature. That's great. But also, if you're the corny guy, don't try and adopt to be the hood guy to kind of fit in, because you never know. That corny role could make you become a multi-millionaire and a global star, which has made flipping Michael B. Jordan. And I don't even think he's corny. What's actually corny about him? I think the only thing that's corny about him is the fact that he clearly doesn't, he clearly isn't shy of a camera. He clearly likes to take his top off quite a lot, likes to work out. Maybe he's not the greatest actor, but the corny thing, I've never really understood in the most part, but I just find it interesting, the kind of parallel between Ja Morant and Michael B. Jordan in those kind of stories going forward. But the funniest part for me has definitely been the reaction from other people, and one of them being Joe Budden. Joe Budden decided for every reason to kind of get involved and sort of lend his ear to it. And if you're not familiar with Joe Budden, one of the things to be familiar about him is that he's a consummate hater. Like, he kind of embraces the fact that he's a hater. But he also has a list of people that he hates for a specific reason. Like, for instance, he hates Tyler, the Creator, randomly. Because one time, I think at like a Rock the Bells or some sort of festival somewhere, I don't know which one it was, when Odd Future were first coming up, he was booked the same day that they were playing, and they got into the same area of the festival behind the scenes. And you know how Tyler and Earl and all those guys were back in the day. They were crazy. So they were acting the way they were acting back in the day, but that was Joe Budden's first experience ever seeing them. And he immediately got put off. And till this day, he still hates Tyler, the Creator, because of that one flipping interaction. So it's really, really, and Tyler must have been like, I don't know, 19 or 17 or something at those ages. So he's that kind of guy. And for whatever reason, he's got a thing for hating Michael B. Jordan. Like, it's just a consistent thing. And he always takes the piss out of his acting on the podcast when I used to listen to it. And just as a running joke. So when he saw that clip of him basically dunking on that girl on the red carpet, he took it as a chance to kind of remind people that he thinks Michael B. Jordan's corny, which is super ironic because everyone calls Joe Budden corny. Like, he's the height of corny. The pictures he takes, the outfit he wears, the fact that he loves to get involved in flipping women's business, the fact that his music career never really reached the heights of his podcast, everything about him is corny. So the fact that him labeling other people corny is absolutely hilarious. But let's hear Joe Budden's rant against Michael B. Jordan and what his thoughts were at the time.
Dog, you doing that to a girl is some corny shit.
I can see that.
You being
That is
Michael
true.
B. Jordan today, allegedly sexiest man alive in all of these blockbuster movies.
I agree.
During your highlight week, you've probably never been more visible than you are right this second, and that's what you do to her. And if I bring back them white girl rumors, then it's going to sound even crazier. Because why you talking to our sisters like that on the red carpet? We only talking to white like.
Boo! He tried to play up into the sisters thing and try and be the advocate for black women, which is hilarious because if anything, Joe Budden's got a really extensive and ferocious history of really disrespecting black women or women full stop. Do you know what I mean? You don't want to get into the abuse flipping allegations because I was a former fan of the podcast. I don't want to besmirch his name. But for him to suddenly stand there and become like the advocate of black women, especially with the most recent story of him when he tried to make the network and one former host of a show that was on his network basically alleged that he was, being sexually, what's that word called? Of sexual misconduct, or being too handsy during the hug. and the backlash behind it. And basically they kind of essentially gaslit her a little bit and made her go into hiding. It was a real big kind of messy affair. But she was a black woman and he really did disrespect her by, you know, basically overstepping the line and whatnot. So him kind of trying to spin it as a black woman thing was legitimately one of the most hilarious things. And he also tried to defend that lady. He was trying to defend her. That's the thing. That L'Oreal woman, he was trying to defend her and trying to basically say, hey, she's a black woman, don't besmirch her, respect her, black queens and whatnot, blah, blah, blah. And he threw in that little quip about the white women thing because people, you know, allege or throw this label at Michael B. Jordan that he doesn't really like black girls, even though he dated Lori Harvey for a long time and maybe other people were there. I don't know, whatever it may be. But I was thinking as well, this is a weird stretch to go on. Imagine if you're Michael B. Jordan and you're a black kid growing up in New Jersey, going to a school in the hood or whatnot, even if performing arts or whatever it may be, but, you know, you're getting teased for your name, people thinking you are trying to be Michael Jordan when you're not and you can't play basketball and shit. You're being teased because you like to be professional and you have dreams and you don't want to go out and you're a bit different and stuff and whatnot, whatever it may be. You're being teased all the time in this predominantly black school. Couldn't it be understandable if that's the origin story for why he maybe prefers dating non-black girls? Could that be the origin story? Is that not acceptable? Like, imagine if that is legitimately your experience, that you got bullied the entire time you were in school. No black girl will give you any love, any joy because you weren't necessarily hood looking or you didn't carry yourself a particular kind of way. Wouldn't it be understandable if all you liked were non-black girls? Because they were the only ones to accept you for who you were. That would make some sense, wouldn't it? It would make some sense. But you say that out loud and people start want to, oh, no! That Dave Chappelle scene. Boo! Do you know what I mean? Start want to throw stuff at you. But it could be the truth. That's like an actual legit villain origin story, you know? Kind of thing. Anyway, the funny part about it, just to end this segment, is that the woman that he was defending then went on to her own podcast and invited this other lady called Rocky for real, who was a former close friend of Joe Budden, who's now one of his most fiercest ops. Like, this lady is like so rude when it comes to disrespecting Joe Budden, and she really hates him. Like, I don't know what happened between them. I don't know if it's some, like, you know, lovers tiff and they messed around behind the scenes. I don't know what happened, but this Rocky girl was really close with Joe Budden at one time, and they fell out. And now anytime that she gets in front of a microphone and they ask her about Joe Budden, she does not waste time to really let the clip run and let people know that, nah, I don't mess with that guy, he's a piece of shit, blah, 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 blah. And she did it on that girl's podcast. So the girl that he was trying to defend got one of his fiercest enemies on there, and she absolutely ruined him. And this is a clip about it. Absolutely crazy.
We went through a lot of shit back and forth with, like, okay, we're best friends, we're not best friends. He's a head case, and I'm someone that likes to study people and try to figure them out and analyze them. Like, I can fix this dark motherfucker. Like, he from the dark side. I'm always them. I'm that. Miss Fix It. I'm like the Oracle. I'm that person. Mm-hmm. So I got to a point where it just was just a little bit too chaotic for me. And his last situation with that came to light with his baby moms, who I was cool with, and I played the rescue ranger for her too, and that backfires. I thought I was like,
that always happens. Yeah. Was he bisexual then?
As far as I'm concerned, he's a fluid.
Was he bisexual then? Excuse me? Like, I'm trying to defend you as a black woman, and you're just outing me. That's what Joe Budden gets for including himself in women's business. That's why, as a man, you should never include yourself in women's business. Stay like me. I stay chatty patty with men stuff, right? I'll talk about the Brendan Schaub stuff, the Joe Rogan stuff, but I never mention families. I'm never getting involved in all the girl stuff and whatnot. There's some stuff with the, you know, Annie Lederman or whatever it may be, but for the most part, I leave all that family shit alone. None of my business. And also, you know, you don't want to throw stones in the glass house. We all have our issues when it comes to that sort of stuff. But when you're a guy and you actively take part and try to include yourself in shade room stuff, that's what happens, man. You get shaded.
Fluid man.
Okay, so you already knew this.
So I said this on Hot 97 10 years ago.
What?
It was like, what?
Rewind. What'd you say?
And you already knew this.
So I said this on Hot 97.
Always happens. Was he bisexual then?
As far as I'm concerned, he's a fluid man.
Okay, so
And
you already knew this.
So I said this on Hot 97 10 years ago, and it was like, "What would you say that about him?" I always called him my gay bestie.
Oh my God!
And what's so funny is, and this isn't a revelation. I know.
No, he said things on his own podcast,
Yeah.
and I'm asking because sometimes he plays it off like he's joking, but then when he said I would have broke his ass in half, talking
that's
about
his
little
talent.
Fizz.
That's his skill. Like he's
Wax, did you
able to
hear
say,
that episode?
No, I didn't.
Yeah, he
He said,
said
"No, I
he
didn't."
would have broke little Fizz's ass in half had he seen
I believe
a
it.
picture of his asshole earlier. Have you ever heard
I
anyone
thought
screaming from the
if
bedroom?
you had said that, he said that, I would think that he talking about fighting. Like, yo, what the fuck
No,
are you doing?
he
You
was
wild.
showing his asshole, a picture of his asshole leak.
Why he showing? Why he want to look at that?
Fizz? Yeah, well, because he likes men as well, I guess.
So he smashed him. He gets smashed. Is he
I
sucking or
guess
he
if
getting
you're
sucked?
saying you would have broke him in half, you got to be the top, right?
Well,
Look where we are in flipping cultural conversations as a community, quote unquote, as black people, right? Where if you're the one receiving, if you're the one receiving, I don't know, oral or whatever, if you're the one giving other types of sexual acts, then it's okay. Then suddenly they don't want to, refer to you as a race, as a slur, use the F word on you. But the moment you're the person who's maybe the quote unquote bottom, they completely emasculate you. They, they paint you out to be feminine and stuff. It's so bizarre, isn't it? I always find that stuff really bizarre. If anything, really being hyper focused and concerned about what people get up in the bedroom, especially people who live a lifestyle that you don't live, is I think the most sussy and suspect thing ever. That really says more about you than them. If you're really like in tune with everything, the terms, what happens and stuff, that says more about you, that you're kind of wondering what he does there. Why are you wondering? If that's not your life, why do you care? But this is where we are in culture. This is where we are. Crazy.
I think things could be interchangeable.
That's true as well.
Get out
So
of
if
here.
that's your first thought, I just would think like
Here's
that's
my
a
thing.
top
That is a talent of his where he's able to tell you like some real bold-faced truth. Like, oh yeah, I didn't punch her in the stomach. I grazed the side of her ribs, and then everyone's like, oh, he's just joking. I don't know what type of Jedi mind trick he got going on in the world, but it works for his benefit.
But yeah, there we go, man. Joe Budden got himself involved in women's business and it backfired in the biggest way possible. And to be honest, he has no one to blame but himself. No one to blame but himself. And I just thought it was absolutely funny, the whole backlash behind it. I thought Michael B. Jordan, to end in conclusion, Michael B. Jordan dealt with that, I think, supremely well. It wasn't a big deal. It was what it was. She basically brought the subject up. I don't think if she brought it up that they went to the same school, that he would have said what he said. She brought it up, and then he reminded her, "Yeah, I know who you are, and I heard what you said on your little podcast, and now here you are interviewing me on my red carpet at my movie." Essentially, look how the tables turn. Look at life. Look at God. Right? Like, relax. Like, treat people nicely all the way through life. Doesn't matter if they're gonna be someone. Just treat people nicely in general. Cool, calm. She gets the message. She gets viral. She gets a little 5 minutes of fame. Then, for every reason, all these other people come up and start talking about these hit pieces. He's not corny. And then Joe Budden, essentially, who already hates Michael B. Jordan, used this opportunity to kind of try and beat him over the head. And then, as karma would have it, as life would have it, another woman comes out and says, "No, actually, you know what? You're bisexual." It's like, whoa. Out of blue, everything gets blown up. But again, like I said, man, just everyone should mind their business, leave people alone, treat people with respect, be nice to everybody, and we can all live a somewhat quasi-nice, normal life. You would hope, innit? You would hope. So, moving on from that one, because I want to quickly change tacks and get things going on to a different place. Let's quickly move on as I kind of wait here. Bear with me 1 second as I kind of get this other flipping things loaded. There we go. It's loading. Yeah. Yeah, doing this live is actually quite fun. I think I might have to extend this to going forward, actually. I quite like this. So, continuing on. Let's go back to club news, because the one thing that I know and that I'm passionate about and I've got some information on is nightclubs. So this is courtesy of RA. It says the team behind Berlin's Renate opens up a new club called M01. The 400 capacity space will launch this month. I got a new club to go to when I go to Berlin again. Yay! So this is courtesy of RA. It looks absolutely fantastic. And we're going to quickly read over this article to get an idea of it. Look at that. Nice, dark, industrial looking club. Bare concrete walls. I think it looked painted with a few bits of lights here and there spread all over the place. But if anything, one of the things you have to realize, if you haven't been to Berlin or you don't care about this stuff, the best thing about the clubs over there isn't really the interior design, which sometimes it's really nice, don't get me wrong. But the best thing about clubs over there is the sound. The sound is impeccable. They really invest heavily in the sound systems and to make sure they're perfect, to make sure they're great. And usually that's a difference maker for the most part in separating the clubs from other places around the world. And obviously Berlin's a bit of an anomaly because, you know, they give clubs grants to allow them to put, you know, soundproofing in. They don't usually buck to the pressures of local neighbors and gentrification and stuff. There's a balance. There's a good balance there. But in general, I love the onus on sound, on programming and whatnot, and doing things the right way. So this is great. So it says MO01 sits on the north side of Renault's building. The entrance is on the, how do you say that? Mark Graffendam, number 1. The 400 capacity space is split across 2 floors and 3 rooms, which is amazing. Kind of reminds me of People's Place. Plastic People here in London. And also, I'm a big fan of spaces that are like 500 cap. I think that would always be my dream. If I open my own club, my dream would to have a club that's around 150 to 500. I think that's a perfect space to be able to book somebody up and coming and also have the odd big high profile person come in. Like, you know, I remember seeing Richie Horton play at Fold one time, and it was fucking phenomenal. And he really enjoyed it too because he usually plays in fucking stadiums and shit. So to be able to play in a small space like that is quite cool. It gives an intimate feeling, and also it's enough space for like a small up and coming person to get a feel of what they're about and whatnot, and to kind of cultivate a crowd. Anyway, it says the 150 capacity dance floor downstairs, plus a chill out area and space for live music and exhibitions and installations upstairs. The club room features a Lambda Lab sound system. While there are plenty of big clubs in Berlin, the city needs small venues for the community of DIY promoters and collectives here, said MA1's booking director Alessandro Boni. Hey Alessandro, book me at your bloody club, mate, please. All right, I'm going to send you loads of emails. I'm going to send you loads of SoundCloud links. Book me at your club. We want to allow small, independent funded promoters to create their own parties without the financial risk of working in larger spaces. So M01 provides both the intimate setting and financial viability, viable opportunity to support the ideas. That's pretty cool because that might work as a flipping, that might work as a funnel. Because they own Salon zur Wilden Renate and Else. Else is usually like an outdoor bar that only opens in the summer. But Renate is a really well-known and, you know, established club in Berlin. So this new club, MA01, could be like the training ground to kind of cultivate small promoters, up-and-coming DJs. And then when they get to a certain level, they could then get, you know, funneled over across to Else or Renate, or even if they've got spaces, you know, they need to fill up, they've got a whole Rolodex of artists who are willing and ready to play from M01. So it kind of works out really well there. I love it. Up and coming events for MA01 are still TBA. The club said people can expect a broad range of sounds, including house, techno, and electro. Launched in 2007, Renate sits as a former apartment block of Friedrichstrain. Else is the team's open-air summer venue, is right across the street. There's the pics of the event. So yeah, the pics look great. As you can see here, dimly lit place, loads of exposed brickwork. I love this little LED scheme. I saw this when I went to Oxy. There were these nice LED bars. And the bars don't just light up. They had it's like an LED bar, of course, so you can have like a gradient running across it. So when I was in that club Oxy, the bars were kind of like zooming across, and the light beams were kind of like going down like fucking daggers. It was quite cool to kind of see, especially if allegedly you were tripping out. It was quite nice to see that kind of running through your head. And they've got these really nice spotlights as well, and it's like grid pattern, which is in front of the DJ booth, which looks incredible. I love that. So yeah, it looks really, really lovely. So far, no dates or idea on what the events are going to be. Let's quickly check the RA events listing to see if they've got any up and coming events. Yeah, they do. The first part is on the 31st of March. It's called Limelight Volume 1, featuring Ed Davenport, Jonathan Cavender, Matt Fink, and somebody else here. And who else? Yeah, Jonathan Cavender, Janham, Back Hiding. I don't know none of these people actually. These all might be local people that I'm not really too familiar with, but there it is, up and coming night for for M01. If you're interested and you're in the area, check them out. It looks like a cool, interesting night. Of course, we love to see it. Continuing on from that one, we've got this news courtesy of RA regarding a club in New York that's going to be adopting a membership program, which I think is kind of cool for a club. It says here, Elsewhere becomes the latest New York club to adopt a membership program. Now, would you sign up to be a member of a club? Would you do that? I had like a membership briefly, and I kind of renew it whenever I can be bothered with Fabric. Fabric have a Fabric First program, which is not really a membership, but it's basically a program, an initiative, whatever it calls, scheme, where you can basically pay a certain amount a month. I think it's like £10 or something. That kind of allows you to book or to buy heavily discounted tickets for their club nights. So if their club nights are usually £20, $20, if you got a Fabric First card that you pay £10 a month for, you can pay for the same ticket that people pay $20 for, $5, $10. It's really cool. So it means you can maybe buy tickets for friends. You can maybe just, on a whim, just buy a random ticket for a random night and just kind of save a lot of money on tickets so you can spend more on your drugs and alcohol. So this is Brooklyn venue doing the same thing. So it says here, New York Club Elsewhere has rolled out a membership model that it hopes will bring in a steady business and enable more creative programming. Customers can choose from 3 levels of benefits, from $2 a month. Perks include skipping queues, free cloakrooms, and discounts. Yeah, of course, that's what I meant to mention. So Fabric had the same thing. With Fabric First ticket, or the card that you get, I actually might have it somewhere in my wallet, I don't know, it's over there. But yeah, with the Fabric First wallet, with the Fabric First card, you get the benefit to buy discounted tickets, and there's also a separate queue. I think you go in like a VIP queue, which is annoying because it's still a VIP queue. So you have to queue up with all the VIPs, so you're still in the queue. It would be nice if it's just like a legit, you show your card and you just get in kind of thing. Anyway, the next tier up is £6 a month, which adds on to a half-price tickets for the members as guests, and £30 a month includes receive free entry to all shows and parties, plus merch and more, which is great. If anything, it's quite funny, innit? We're going to move into a world where everything is subscription. You're going to be paying for your subscription TV, subscription social media, because obviously Twitter's got their Twitter Blue service, Instagram's going to launch something, or Facebook's doing something that they're going to roll out to Instagram to get verified so that you can have extra features and shit. That's going to be there. And then nightclubs are going to have a membership. What next? Cocktail bars and stuff. Membership, they would never do that, would they? A cocktail bar or an establishment, because they want you to pay by the fucking glass. They don't want you to pay £30 and have 5 drinks and just have those 5 drinks and then leave. Do you know what I mean? That's not gonna happen. So anyway, it continues. In the press release, Elsewhere said the aim isn't to create a VIP status customer, but rather to make gigs cheaper for everyone. The launch is also meant to offset the increasingly volatile nature of the events business, especially with the COVID-19 pandemic resulting in higher operating costs and last-minute ticket sales. If I'm not mistaken, that was the original utopian ideal around Studio 54. If you watch the documentary, they had like membership cards and stuff they'd give to people. I remember other clubs in London have the same sort of thing where they give you like a black card. I know like Nando's famously has a black card that you can use that gives you like a certain percentage off of food and shit. But those clubs essentially wanted to cultivate a community, so they would give people cards that would allow them to skip the queue and whatnot. But then I think Studio 54 actually, funnily enough, is known for that era of like Diana Ross on a horse riding through the flipping club, or Michael Jackson being there and whatnot, and Andy Warhol and stuff. But actually, when it kind of turned into a celebrity hangout, that's when essentially it died, because over time what happened is that it started becoming it was like a haven, safe haven for the kind of LGBTQ queer scene, and obviously it also became like a really cool and interesting club, and a little community developed in it, and then all the celebrities went to go there because it was the one place you could go where people kind of leave you alone and you just party and do your thing. But then over time, the celebrities kind of overshadowed the thing and became the number one people. And that's where the whole Velvet Rope thing happened, and they would then stop normal punters coming in favor of letting celebrities go in, but celebrities were coming in by so many of them that they were already filling up the club, which would leave all the regular punters outside. So the regular customers would get pissed off and start to riot. And that's what led to all the bad press, bad attention, bad eyes, police, all that sort of stuff, and eventually causing accidents and whatnot and fights. And that's what led to this fucking downfall of Studio 54 and whatnot. And of course, the undercover operation thing that happened that, kind of exposed them for drug dealing and whatnot. But essentially, that's what kind of fucked them. So in general, with clubs, it's probably important, which I've kind of seen for myself, being a customer of these places, to look after your actual paying customers, not your VIPs. Like people that actually come there on a week-in basis and pay their money, queue up, buy, put their coat in the cloakroom, buy drinks, buy loads of drinks, are always there until the end. Those are the ones you should be looking after, not the VIPs who just sit in a green room and fucking do drugs. But, things kind of change. But this is a good model. I'm not really mad at this, to be fair. By looking in the support of the members, we can count. Sorry, by locking in the support of the members, we can count the membership dues regardless of what's happening from night to night, which helps us make more creative decisions, and more risk presents more emerging music, which I really agree with. Also, you can take way more risk that way because then you're not relying on the promoter model and tickets and shit. Other clubs in New York, including Nowadays, Mood Rings, and Good Room, also have membership programs, many of which launched during the pandemic. Rosenthal noted how memberships and social clubs have long been a key part of New York life, referring to examples of Paradise Garage. Exactly, yeah, all those are in there. So I like the model. I think it's going to work. It's a really cool idea, and it's something that I would definitely do if I was over there in New York and I was at this club called Elsewhere. I would be doing that. I would be doing that also. I swear on my life. So let's move on. Let's talk about this one. Another new club opening. This is now in Liverpool, obviously here in the UK. It says new club, Spray Shop, to open in a former car garage. A nightclub called Spray Shop? Huh? Anyway, it says here, launching on Thursday, February 21st, already launched. Spray Shop is a 350 capacity space with a custom-made TPI sound system that takes over what was once a car garage. I love it again. I love this capacity of clubs, man, for me. I think that's a perfect mark. 150 to 500. Perfect sweet spot. Headlining the launch party will be Richie Ahmed and the likes of Archie Hamilton, Jesse Colosso, and Joey Daniel, confirmed to play in the coming weeks. It's funny they're highlighting this because these are more like tech housey DJs, and you describe them as maybe more bro dance music, and RA is very much trying to like steer away from those two people, even though these people make them probably the most money, the most commercial. I think, I'd imagine, putting an event with Amelie Lenz is going to make you way more money than putting on an event with Mama Snake, even though Mama Snake is way better. Do you know what I mean? So it's a funny world that they kind of had to occupy and the balance have to make, but regardless, I like it. I'm hoping to create something completely different to what's available in Liverpool at the moment, says the founder, Kyle Muldoon. Told Resident Advisor, there are a number of factors with this, but it's mainly down to the crowd and the type of music we can offer on one of the best sound systems on the market that will create the buzz and the vibe of the club. I love that. I love that he's pushing that first and not talking about programming and booking people. Honestly, have a club in the UK that's got good sound, that's open until quite late, right? Past maybe 3 a.m., please, that's possible, and you're set. Then I'm going to trust your booking. That's what happened with Fold. Fold is the same thing. Fold, of course, had that whole initial kind of thing of 24 hours, blah. But after that died and that didn't happen because, local council shit, we just started going there all the time because we knew we could trust the sound, number one, and it's open late. So regardless of what's on really, unless it's maybe a tech house rave or something that you're not really fans of, or dubstep or something, or jungle, most of the time you can really trust that their program is going to be decent, and you can trust the sound's going to be amazing, and that's basically half the struggle. For Muldoon, the opening may be bittersweet following the death of a business partner last year. He said, after Kevin died, I was left with the idea of developing the club into what it was today. I'm sure he would be amazed at what we've done with the place, and it's sad that he's not here to see it. Yeah, that's really sad, man. So RIP Kevin, whoever that is, who is a partner of the club. That's really sad to hear. But I do like the inside of it. Look at this stack of speakers. Look at how beautiful that looks. Is that the booth behind them? That's amazing, man. Look how high up the booth is and a stack of speakers. You can't even see the DJ's head there, innit? If you're super small. Whoa, I love this. Again, red light. Again, I like the that's like a, what's that thing called? That's like an acid house label logo as well, with the smiley face. Obviously with Up North being like the home place, all that stuff is quite a nice little tie-in with the red dimly lit lights. What's it says? The naughty corner. This is funny. It's called the naughty corner, and it's in a club because in UK we've got this thing in the UK where people don't really behave in nightclubs. And when I mean behave, I mean they're not really grown-ups when it comes to drugs and stuff. So for the most part, when you go to places in Europe, especially places like Berlin or Amsterdam and shit, or other places in, other big cities that play flipping dance music, most of the times, all that stuff is regulated to the toilets. You have to kind of stick to doing it in the toilets. But for every reason in the UK, people don't care. People in pubs will be like doing quick bumps on the tables, on the dance floor. They'll be hiding behind somebody doing quick lines and shit. People don't care, or like breaking up pills on the dance floor and swallowing them. Like there's a real kind of like, I can't bother to go to the toilet. I'm just going to do it here on the dance floor. So having a room, having a space and having a corner that says the naughty corner is hilarious, because quite literally there will be people, and I guarantee it, there will be people taking pictures and videos of themselves doing bumps in front of this light, in front of this Leon lighting. I guarantee you it will happen. I guarantee you. Again, no smoke inside. Here on the inside looks really cool. Let's see what events they have coming up for the spray shop place. It looks really nice. Definitely something that I would probably end up checking out here. Let's see. And it's definitely an excuse to go to Liverpool as well, because I've not been. Have I ever been? No, I have been. Yeah, I went a couple of years ago. I won't say I've never been. But yeah, it'll be a good chance to kind of go, because, you know, I love to use clubs as an excuse to kind of discover new interesting places. Okay, no listings on here, unfortunately, which is weird. Let's check out the Instagram then. Maybe they've got something on the Instagram we can kind of check out. It's odd they don't have any listings on RA to see what events they have coming up, but maybe they have more later on. Okay, so they were open already here. Looks like we've got some pictures and stuff already of what went down. This is the Instagram account, the Spray Shop _ You can find an Instagram if you care. Let's click the first picture and see what this is about with the logo and whatnot. It says, tonight we brought Boogeyman to Liverpool. Thank you everyone who came down. So yeah, it's going to turn into a good place. It's already cool. They've got a cool little logo there. People are going to want to take pictures outside of it, outside of the queue on the way home. They've really created a little bit of content around the whole place, which is pretty cool. You love to see it. Very professional, very on point. They've got already another light here. That I think, no, that's not past. That's coming up in April. Archie Hamilton, Diminish, Ben Jones, and Asojo. It's again more tech housey type of vibe, not really my kind of thing, but I still like it. They've got another party here called Kaluki Liverpool happening very soon at the Spray Shop in April. They've got a whole team picture here. The Last of Us, the crew that showed up last night, and the reason the club I built. Awesome. Nice to see everybody there hanging out. Everyone wearing black hoodies and whatnot. This is usually the crowd that you see at these kind of events anyway. They're usually always good banter and vibes, but for every reason, I don't know why it is in dance music, there's such a divide within the people that, they would deem to be like Berghain or dark techno people and people like this for a reason, but we're all kind of the same really, to be honest. And if anything, these lot are probably way nicer. You probably have a way more funner time going to a club like this than you would do going to a Berghain, I guarantee you, especially if you're not from a certain community. It's a clip of Diminish playing here at a club. Yeah, it's not for me, man. It's a little bit too Caucasian tech house for me, man. It's a little bit too oi oi, oli 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 for me personally. But I still appreciate some of the DJs that play this sort of stuff, and obviously the events they put on and whatnot. But it's a little bit too oli 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 oi 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 for me personally. But regardless, it's there, it's alive. Let's check out the stories to see what it's looking like on the inside. We've got some clips already here of people on the inside having a good time at this place called the Spray Shop. Let's put some sound on here. Yeah, it looks good, innit? It looks quite cool. I like the red lights on it. I like how it's laid out. It's a smaller room. The sound looks banging. Oh, look at that DJ booth. Loads of neon. Nice. Okay, and I wonder, maybe, I don't know, acoustic-wise, but I wonder, with it being a former car garage, maybe sound insulation-wise is pretty decent. Is that a thing? I don't really know, to be honest. I've never worked in a garage or anything. I know I look like a handyman. No, but I wonder if that's a thing. But anyway, regardless of them, big up the Spray Shop. Hopefully that goes on to doing bigger and brighter things in the future. Great to see new spaces opening up in clubs and stuff in the UK, because we need more of them. Anyway, moving on. Let's talk about this. We have to review this because I spoke about it in the stream, but I need to kind of put this on wax and put this on record. So, Demna was back on the runway. Paris Fashion Week, Demna made his triumphant return after being accused of essentially running an underground kiddie diddling organization under the guise of Balenciaga. Really sketchy stuff involving kids and BDSM bears that they were saying were punk bears, but the internet told them they were BDSM, and you were sexualizing children, weird court documents and photo shoots and campaigns with weird court stuff and whatever, just really sketchy stuff. And it got to a point where people suddenly had enough of Demna being the provocateur, Demna being the antagonist, Demna being just a bad boy, right? Making these big hoodies and charging people thousands of pounds for t-shirts and trainers and dirty socks and hoodies and ripped up jeans. People just had enough, and when they saw the kid stuff, they're like, we can take this guy down because he's not respecting the house that Cristobal Balenciaga built, right? So they kind of try to kick him out. But like every good person out there that makes amazing things and is talented and makes people money, counterculture doesn't apply. Unfortunately, it does not apply. We've seen it with the Kanye West rumors with Adidas. If you are talented and you make people money, eventually people will come back. Eventually people will come back. All the time it happens. And again, we don't show what the rumors are with Kanye. Maybe they're just rumors, but there is a lot of talk out there about Adidas coming back to the table to work out some deal with Kanye to sell whatever stock they had left. Even though Adidas were really talking a big game about owning the IP and doing what they want with it, now they're coming back again. The same thing with fashion. Everybody in fashion had a moral stance, a principled stance about the whole Balenciaga kids thing. Everyone was pressuring Kim Kardashian to denounce them and whatnot. People were going on news places and interviews and denouncing and deleting Balenciaga. People were burning their Balenciagas, some of it fake, but they were burning it regardless, making a real stand. But once the show was announced again, I'm sure the PR person involved in Balenciaga's inbox was flooded with invitation requests. Flooded. They probably had to turn people away, even though a few months ago, just a few weeks ago, he was being labeled as some sort of pedo, Demna, and now suddenly he's back, the prodigal son. So he did say quite clearly when he was presenting or before the show was going to happen, courtesy of this account that I've got here on my screen, I'm going to load up. Bear with me 1 second. He did say that he was going out of his way to make sure, actually I posted before, it doesn't matter, but he did say before that he was going to go out of his way to ensure that this show was all about the clothes. Nothing else. I think he said in the interview I posted before, there was an interview I think I had on here, courtesy of Vogue. This one, which I read, then on the record, it says, basically outlined his plan that he's done with the whole like theatrics and stuff. He's going to focus on the clothes themselves. Nothing else matters but the clothes. And I think in one of the statements that he put out, actually, that I think I might have shared on Twitter, he put out an actual statement that said something along the lines of like, there's too much like, what do you say? There's too much entertainment or something in flipping clothes, too much other stuff. I want to focus on just the clothes itself. So this was meant to be like a big triumphant return. Now, having watched the show live at the time, I have to say, just looking at the clothes, it was a little bit underwhelming, just in terms of what he said before it started. But if you really focus in on what he said and what he was trying to get back to in terms of the core of Balenciaga and of core of what he's about in terms of making good clothes, it kind of does make sense. But starting the show off with, what's that, 6 black looks that look basically identical to the naked eye, doesn't really give you much hope that he was going to go back to the clothes and remind people of what kind of, fashion designer he was with a capital F. But if you look really closely, there's devils in the detail. There's loads of really cool upside down little, things going on with the garments. On the bottom of the hem or some of the jackets, it looks like the top of the pants. That's really interesting on some of the pants. There's like an extra bit of pants stuck on the top that gives it this nice little texture and flow as you're walking and running and stuff. And then, of course, the pièce de résistance I'm going to load up on here are some of the boots. There are some boots in here that I think are going to be ridiculously popular, as are the glasses. I think those are something I think are the main things that really kind of stood out for the Balenciaga Fall 2023 show, were the boots and the glasses that I'm going to try and get up here for you now. As you can see here, there's some glasses there. Those ones over there. I actually need to get it up. Let me actually load it on another screen. Another tab. So let's put it over here. Does that work or not? Yeah. So let's see if we can load this up. Bear with me 1 second. Let me just do it this way. So we've got this loaded. So yeah, let's click this. So on this one, as you can see here, I think these are going to be some of the more popular pieces that are definitely going to catch people's attention going forward with Balenciaga. But I think there are a lot of people online who've kind of seen this and said, you know what, this is kind of underwhelming. I kind of expected a little bit more from them, especially considering the big game and the big press release and statement that Demna put out there, to suddenly go out there and now present like, a couple of black looks and stuff. It just looks a little bit dead. But I still think, from the success of previous years of their glasses, I've got a pair of flipping fake AliExpress version ones here. They did really, really well, the glasses. These ones, they did amazing. That this whole season and the season before, these are the fakes from AliExpress. They're like $5, and they're like fucking actual plastic. But the actual legit ones did really, really well. And it's obviously them kind of building on top of that and deciding to put out another set of really cool glasses that look like they're a little bit rimless or something, and they kind of have a little bit more of like a V shape, so like more of a heart shape, so a little bit more aggressive on the top here, and they kind of give you a really good frown. And if you've got your buccal fat removed, they will really accentuate the cheeks. Do you know what I mean? Or if you cut your flipping beard up here, like Hard Rock Nick, it'll definitely make you look chiseled. So it might actually be the first pair of glasses that you will get that will actually make you have a jawline or cheekbones if you don't have them, like actual, you know what I mean? They're kind of in your face as you put them on. So that might be absolutely good. So again, some nice coats, some nice Jackson jeans. Again, very pared back, very sleek, very simple, very to the point. I really like these bags also. At first, I thought the chain link was bees. I thought that would have been quite cool, but it didn't. It's just like hoops. But I thought at first they were bees. But I do like the shape of it. I mentioned in the live stream, it kind of looks like more like a messenger bag, but it kind of flaps over. And I think that's going to be really, really popular with a lot of people. So for sure, the glasses and the bags. This leather jacket is really cool. Again, if you look at the details, so on the sleeves, as you can see here, the end of the sleeves, you have what looks like the top bit where you kind of bottom flyer of your leather pants and stuff. That's what they got on there. So they got this really interesting kind of blend. It kind of morphs into one. So you don't know if they are literally legs of pants that have been stitched upside down to make sleeves, or if they've kind of basically made the end of the sleeves look like the top of pants. But I do like that kind of upside down flip. And if you look closely at the bottom of the jacket, you've also got the belt loops that you'd find at the top of the pants. And then it's sort of reflected again on the on the collar of the jacket also. And again, you got the same sort of glass like I said before. Obviously this kid is really skinny and has got great cheekbones, but still these glasses definitely accentuate his face and kind of give you that really big structured look. And of course the pants on top really work well, and the same thing goes for the bags. But there's a lot of people online saying that, hey, this is rather disappointing. Demna spoke a really big game and now this is what he gave us, what I mean. But you have to look at it a bit deeper and say, I didn't see many t-shirts, I didn't see many hoodies, and I don't think I saw any trainers. I don't think so. Maybe I have to look a bit closer because there's like 2 pants covering the feet. But all the things that people kind of mock Demna for, basically charging people $500 for a t-shirt and nearly $1,000 for a hoodie and stuff, and basically saying hoodies and t-shirts are like the height of luxury and whatnot, which I agree with, right? Being able to take these like staple streetwear items and kind of lux them out and make them in great shapes and great fabrics. And because I own a couple of Balenciaga hoodies and Vetements hoodies from Demna's era, and those things are bulletproof. Like I've worn them to raves, I've worn them out and about, they've been covered in burger sauce and drinks and whatnot. I've washed them a million times because I don't bother even dry clean. I wash them in like regular clothes and they still hold. So they are actually pretty good quality clothing. But it's hard to justify spending $900 on a hoodie really that looks on the face of it like any other hoodie. But still, I think the glasses are going to be very popular. People are going to be really impressed with those when they eventually come out. But like a lot of people online are saying, they're not really impressed by it. But I really did like a lot of the collection. I think, like I said, the sunglasses, the bags were really cool. But the other thing that was really nice, and again, this jacket also, look at that. I love whatever they do here with this. Is kind of like taking kind of from Demna's time at Margiela. And obviously, of course, Margiela kind of pioneered this thing where this ability to sort of like push the back or whatever it may be up on the top. I'm pretty sure that's where it's cut. So instead of you thinking it's actually full, usually the way they cut it, it wouldn't be full of something on the shoulders to make it have this really exaggerated look. It's usually cut in a certain way that makes it just pop up like that. So that's something, again, that's like really high level tailoring and pattern cutting. And that's the ability to make sure to make stuff look baggy and look tight and look long and look constrained but look relaxed at the same time. It's amazing. These are the other glasses that I thought are going to be very, very popular. These ones in particular, if you see them, they're essentially they don't look like they've got any sort of discerning rim on them, and they kind of, if anything, look a little bit similar to Kanye's shades that he did with Gap that never end up coming out. The ones that were basically just one wrap around, the kind of like a mirrored sort of thing with a rope. And that's what you got here with these glasses. So they kind of just look like, that sort of vibe on them. And they look really, really nice. And they're kind of done in this little silver, grey, steel type of look, which looks really, really cool. I think a lot of people, especially guys within my scene, in terms of dance music, are going to be all over them. And there's another pair of combats here that Balenciaga, again, don't get enough credit for making really good combat. I know this, you can't see it here because it's basically black and my screen isn't the best, but these combat pants are going to be great. They fit amazing. You've got these amazing big pockets in the front. It looks like you might have a reinforced knee here, but they just usually fit amazing and work really well with the shoes that they make. And if we continue on, the other thing that I thought would be really popular are these motorcycle boots that look like they are standard motorcycle boots that you would get, right? Like knee-high ones, but look like they've been made with rubber. So they kind of adopting and carrying on that kind of rubberized design language that he's been pushing so far. These things, I think these are going to be really popular with people. So essentially, they kind of remind me of a boot that Demna did with Balenciaga maybe in 2017. I think so, 2017, where essentially it was the same sort of thing, basically, but that was more of a real life kind of motocross boot.
but then this is sort of like done in the same way, and I think it's been made of rubber. That's my initial response when I saw them. I thought they were made of rubber. And again, the sunglasses here are going to be super popular here. This is from look number 30. These sunglasses will be really popular. Again, it's the same sort of one I said before in silver, but these are now in black. And they look like they've been molded in one piece as well, which looks really incredible. And again, they got these motorcycle boots. Instead of black, you got them in a different color. The only thing I don't like about them personally, because I'm a bit finicky with this sort of stuff. I hate pointed stuff. There was a time in my life where I used to wear squares and shit. That was the last time I wore like pointed shoes. I like my stuff to be a bit more rounded or squared off and whatnot. Maybe because as well my feet are fat, so they don't really usually fit in these type of things. But regardless, these look really, really cool. The boots of how they looked up and stuff, the different sort of paneling. These are kind of in a white and black colorway, but I think these are going to be really popular. And for sure, we're definitely going to see Kanye in these, right? Maybe the hoodie isn't for everybody's taste. This kind of shrunken, elongated hoodie with these pads on the shoulders looks really cool. But I think, if I'm not mistaken, this looks like it might be inflated. I've got a feeling this is kind of like an inflatable hoodie. It looks like it anyway. It feels like it's got some sort of air in it. Maybe it hasn't. And then again, in the glasses, you've got this nice mirrored gold look going on here with these wraparound glasses that look like they've been molded in one piece. But like I said before, the response online hasn't been the greatest to these. People haven't been liking them. You got the same hoodie, same glasses again in blue. They look really incredible. And again, the boots and stuff. But people haven't been liking the collection and saying it's a bit shit. Personally, I love it. And I think it kind of ticks all the boxes that Demna wanted to do in terms of returning the focus back onto the clothes. And you have to look at collections. I look at the collections not as a singular, as like a continuing story. This is the first collection back after the pedo allegations and whatnot. So you want to kind of ease people back into kind of understanding your vision again, or accepting or being comfortable with you presenting clothes. And the best is to do it, get rid of the theatrics, get rid of the craziness, especially this Paris Fashion Week. There were so many fucking silly theatrics that took away from the clothes and just kind of focus on the fucking social media side of it. But this is just about the clothes, kind of bare around environment, minimal in terms of soundtrack, no crazy dance music playing in the background, and just a focus on the garments themselves. And obviously the attention to detail and what's been done in terms of the cut and whatnot. And then you're hoping going forward that you're able to kind of then grow and build from that. So I'm pretty sure the collection after this will be a little bit more showy, a little bit more out there, because I was missing the addition of a kind of rain jacket, right? That there was no rain jacket. There wasn't that kind of stuff there, which I'm always kind of a big fan of what Demna does with these sort of mountaineering 90s rain jacket type of things, but that wasn't there. Again, another addition there with the boots, as you can see. And then we'll definitely check out a highlight. This is one of the highlights I think that Kanye mentioned on his Instagram. Kanye made a post on Instagram recently highlighting this particular look, and I guess maybe he thinks this look has been molded after him. But I would actually like one day to be able to wear what do you call these things again? Where they're matching the top and the bottom. A fucking catsuit or whatever. But unfortunately, I've got way too much ass at the back and way too much junk in the front to make that work. These are the type of things that you only have to wear if you're a girl or you got a really slim body. I think if you're a dude and you pack any kind of meat, regardless if it's fat or muscle, you're going to look absolutely wild in these kind of onesies and shit when you go outside. But Kanye likes to look, maybe he thinks Demna this is sort of like Demna's ode or tribute to him. I'm not too sure. Maybe this is what they're giggling about in the flipping group chat. But Kanye's text back onto social media was to kind of showcase this look. And maybe it's because the glasses look similar to the ones you make at Gap. But again, the boots, I think you're going to see Kanye in these ASAP. You're going to see him wearing those boots. But then I quickly went to also mention the response from other fans online, actually, because some of the fans here, courtesy of this Instagram account, it's like a Balenciaga kind of fan account here, which is the Knife Boot Nerd. And on his post, some people have been voicing their frustration, and they said the following. What someone here says: fashion system is changing, and probably the whole gimmick played by Balenciaga in recent years had reached a point of no return. In some ways, the only way for the brand to move forward was to go backwards. Another person says, I wish Demna took the backlash and just trolled them even harder. What? So what do they want? You wanted more kids on the runway. You wanted to do a whole show with just children, like children that are going to like some beauty pageant. That's not a good idea, brother. And Balenciaga is a multinational corporation. Do you know what I mean? They can't afford to have people going to their store and spray painting it, picketing outside of it. Do you know what I mean? Or burning their stuff. Like, it's not good. And also, imagine, like, a lot of the quote unquote black and brown community are quite sensitive to kid stuff. And they're the ones that buy most of this Balenciaga, except for Chinese people as well. So if you have the black and brown people getting turned off from your brand because they think, you diddle kids and shit, you probably have to resuscitate it and revive it and put the faith back into it again and, basically make them comfortable enough to know that, hey, we're not doing that again. We're going to go back to making some nice shoes so that they can keep buying your triple S's and your fucking sock shoes and shit. Anyway, the guy continues. I keep thinking about Viv or McQueen and how they reacted to backlash and criticism about the provocation clothes they made and the shows that they put on. I definitely blame Kering Group and Balenciaga and shareholders for twisting these arms to create his tone. What? He's the one that put those teddy bears. Again, I watched the show. That show was great. It's a mud show. It's the one that Kanye was the opening look at. That's where the BDSM teddy bears debuted. Those BDSM teddy bears were given to models to hold in their hands as kind of quasi bags. I think they actually might even be bags. It might actually got a zip in it where you can stuff things in, stuffing things in a teddy bear, holding everything, but regardless. No one cared. But everything is about context. Everything's about nuance. The moment you put that bear in the hand of a child, it immediately changes the flipping conversation around it. It makes complete sense. It's like a harness, same sort of thing. You put a harness on some gay guy in Berghain, no one bats an eyelid. You put a harness on a 4-year-old child, all of a sudden, you might have to go to prison. Do you know what I mean? It makes complete sense. And Demna is the one that proved all of it. I love Demna, but he's culpable in the entire thing. He is the overseer of the entire operation. And again, the Demna thing is annoying too because on one side he's the flipping design genius. He's the one that we have to give credit to not reviving, but making Balenciaga what it was, doing flipping, genre defining, influential stuff at Vetements during the time that he was there. But then when he does a kid and stuff, suddenly it's not him. It's a big team. I work with other people, production companies. It's like no. If you could take the glory, you have to take the hate. It just is what it is. I blame the Karen for twisting his arm to create his toned down show filled with old silhouettes and cuts and models, but who knows, maybe Demna himself didn't like the direction he was going in. Whatever, nonsense. Another person here says, everyone needs to rewatch and look at the collection again. So many great styles were shown, no logos and more tailored looks that will art every brand's moving forward. That's true. That's a good thing to mention as well. There were no hoodies. From my recollection, no t-shirt. No, there were hoodies, the zip-up hoodies, sorry. But no hoodies with the pullover with the logo. No t-shirts and no trainers for the most part. And no even baseball caps. It was all just stripped back and pared back. It looked like a ready-to-wear version of couture, if that makes any sense. Demna just proves he understands Cristobal Balenciaga's legacy, but his legacy, but his collections. He brings those Margellisms to life, which I personally look for. I wish there had been more variety of accessories for man, but his collection will sell based on being classic Demna styles from his time at Balenciaga. It wasn't a funeral to me. It was, because people are calling it a funeral. Wow. It wasn't a funeral to me. It was what Demna has said is focused on clothing and tailoring. Looks 24, 26, and 28 are so chic, crazy futuristic for the men's fashion. Look 44 was my favorite, and the dresses at the end will definitely make the red carpet. I hope Demna, I'm not too sure. If you're a celebrity, you have to have some balls to wear Demna on the runway, on the red carpet, essentially. You have to have some real balls because the questions that you're going to be getting on that red carpet, woo! I hope Demna continues. I wonder if Crystalia is going to wear Balenciaga for his special filming. That would be funny. I hope Demna continues to invite celebrities. They are not essential to the brand. Oh, not to invite celebrities. Okay, cool. So it was basically more industry people there. Demna is also very smart. This is a great collection of details. Some of y'all need to look again. I personally really enjoyed the show, and the collections were very futuristic and minimalist. I felt like an early Demna Balenciaga show to me, but better, less emphasis on logos and shock factor and more on silhouettes, proportions and shape. And last person here says, I feel like the people were expecting a dramatic comeback with a dramatic over-the-top show, and that's not what was delivered. Overall, a good collection, but in all honesty, boring compared to previous shows. Perhaps that was on purpose, but pretty underwhelming. Of course it was on purpose. Don't you read his fucking interview? Fucking hell, people. He says, I'm going to pare it back. I'm going to become more focused and focus on the clothes. People online, oh my God. It's like, come on, man. That's what he said he was going to do. So let's actually check out some of the, I want to see the actual, I want to see some of the close-ups of some of the stuff that was shown in the show. That's the note that he kind of left there, telling people that he was going to be a focus on the show. I think the bit that people are laughing at him about was one of the end bits, I think, here. He says here at the end, This is why fashion can no longer be seen as entertainment, but rather as art of making clothes. So if you look at that stuff and you see all the black and you see all the same looks, it's quite funny that he would make that big grand, proclamation and then deliver that. But, I still liked it personally. It continues. Yep, people are going to be liking these motorcycle boot things I mentioned before that look really cool. Again, another version of the boots. Hopefully we'll see some glasses here. People are making mockery of some of the previous collections, saying it was cool. Do we see the glasses? I want to see a close-up of the glasses. No close-up of the glasses? Come on, show me the close-up. The bag looks really nice. It's a crinkled leather effect. Let's see. I think maybe that other account had the close-up of the glasses, because I want to see them, because I think they look really cool. I think this account here, my face went oh. Let's see this account. I think this account had the close-up of the glasses. Bear with me 1 second as it loads. There we go. My face went oh. Did they have a close-up of the glasses? Booty, 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 boop. Yes, they do. So these are the glasses. They look really nice. I think so anyway. It looks like they've been molded in one piece, which looks flipping incredible. Look at I don't know if they're metal or if they're made out of some sort of like resin or if they're made out of plastic that's coated, but they look incredible. I don't know how you see from behind them, but they look really, really cool. So these are going to be all over the flipping, techno dance floors wherever I go out for sure. People are going to be all over these. And they come in black as well. The earrings are really nice. You got these really nice ear cuffs here, which I want to get. I need to get a pair, actually. A pair of ear cuffs to come on the inside. Just won't work well with my flipping, noise cancelling headphones, but they look pretty nice. You've got another one here. That got rims on them. They look at a little bit like carbon fiber or marble on the outside here with these mirrored lenses. They look really nice. And again, you got these wraparound glasses, and they kind of look like a facelift, don't it? They kind of give you instant cheekbones. So I think a lot of people are going to definitely like these. And again, they come in black also, and gold earrings and gold ear cuffs. So yeah, I'm a fan. I liked it. I enjoyed it. I thought it was good. But I also understand if you're expecting some razzle dazzle, that you might look at these and think, you know what, not the sharpest. And of course, these are the motorcycle boots that I think you're going to definitely see Kanye wearing. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they aren't made of rubber. They look like they've got like a normal padded lining on the inside here. So they might not be made of rubber, actually. Maybe they're actually just a regular motorcycle boot, but they've changed the look of them. But I don't like how they're pointed they are. I know they need to be pointed because I guess actual motorcycle boots are pointed because you're meant to be able to change gears on them, right? That's the whole idea. So maybe they need to be a little bit pointed to kind of allow you to change gears. But I would like it to be a bit more rounded. But they do remind me of those motorcycle boots. I think it's 2017. Balenciaga or something. I think so. I think it's 2017 Balenciaga that they had the pair of running boots. Whatever same collection that they had Balenciaga where they debuted the triple S's, I think was the one where they had the one that debuted triple S's was the one where they debuted the motorcycle boots. I'm actually going to double check here and see if I can see it quickly on my phone. But I'm pretty sure whichever the one where the triple S's were debuted was one where I remember that motorcycle boot was from. Let me quickly see if it loads up on my phone. I'm scanning now, scan below. Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, it is. It's fall 2017. One of my favorite collections ever, actually. They debuted these motorcycle boots. I'm not sure if you can see them from my phone because I don't want to get on my screen because my computer's crap. But they debuted these ones here. That one there. Can you see that? You can see it a little bit, can't you? There. That motorcycle boot in 2017. That looks a little bit similar to that thing there. Little bit similar, not really the same thing, but you know what I mean. So yeah, so big up Demna, fall 2023. It is what it is. People like it, people don't. What can you do? It is what it is. Next on list here, what you have quick one to talk about here? I mentioned Body Bar. Let's move on from that one and let's talk about so many things to run through. I think I probably got to actually cut a few of these pieces out, but next thing to mention quickly are these, courtesy of Over Under, regarding the clot and fragment Nike Dunk Lows that are due to be coming out very soon. Personally, for me, complete miss, even though I'm a big fan of Fragment and I love Hiroshi Fujiwara and I generally do love clot collaborations, big up Edison Chen and whatnot. These are a little bit underwhelming, I'm not going to lie. The same sort of fabric they used on their what's the fabric called? I think I got the tab on here. The history of the Silk Royal fabric that they used on their Air Force Ones from previous years, adapted onto a pair of Dunks. They've essentially got the fabric taking up the majority of the upper and the dunk. The good thing about them maybe is this really nice icy translucent sole that reminds me of like old school Reebok classics from back in the day and whatnot. That's quite nice. The only problem with these icy soles, they look great when you first get them, but if you actually wear your shoes like I do every day and you pound them into the dirt and whatnot, they'll end up muddying up really quickly and look really gross kind of fast. So that's the only problem I don't really like about them. But apart from that, you got the whole upper in that silk royal fabric. You got this nice clear icy sole, and then you've got this grey this black upper on the eyelets. And then again, it's not a dunk as well. It's not a dunk SB, so you got this nice flat tongue, which I prefer really in the dunk. I think the shape of the dunk suits the normal tongue as opposed to the SB tongue, which is fat, and because the silhouette is a little bit thin, it kind of fucks up the proportions. But I do prefer the regular tongue. But I don't know, they just don't look that special to me. Not really that interesting. But they're gonna sell out so quickly, and they're probably gonna go for a lot of money because they're two very hyped labels, especially within the Asian community when it comes to Hiroshi Fujiwara Fragment being Japanese, and obviously Clot being the premier brand out there in China when it comes to streetwear, and Edison Chen being an absolute star over there. I'm sure these are gonna absolutely sell out and do absolute bits. But for me, they just look gash personally, and I've always hated that fabric. I'd never liked them, even though there's a big history behind it. As you can see here from the Clot website, they've got the history of the Silk Royale, right? It's got some long extensive history tied to their tradition and culture and whatnot, blah 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 blah, right? It definitely is something that you would kind of relate to, but that fabric, just, I don't know, man, it's just gross to me personally. For me, anyway, it's kind of adapted. I don't like anything about it, and I wouldn't ever wear anything with it on it as well. But I know people are going to go absolutely crazy for them when they drop. Absolutely crazy. But for me, complete miss. Not really a fan in the slightest, but they're going to do numbers when they do eventually end up dropping. Another one I want to quickly mention here is an update on a shoe that I was absolutely ripping, and I still rip to this day. But oddly enough, the friends and family model looks 10 times better than the regular model. It's the Tiffany Co Nike Air Force One. So this has officially been leaked, because I think we see a clip of like Carmelo Anthony receiving a pair. But there's a friends and family version of the Tiffany and Co Nike Air Force One, obviously. So the poors and the regular people get the crappy all black one with the Tiffany blue swoosh and the jewel and the little steel sterling whatever jewel at the back and whatnot. In personally, I think they look crap. I don't think there's anything about Tiffany's that would make you want to make an all black shoe. I think if anything, the black should have been divided up or broken up like they did on the Tiffany Dunks back in the day, or the Diamond Dunks back in the day that Diamond & Co Supply did. Big up Nick Terche, of course. Those were amazing. But the actual retail model of the Tiffany's, I think, are terrible for me. They're absolutely gash. I hate them. I think they're going to be obviously hyped because they're limited in kind of quantity and whatnot, and they're going to be retailing, I think, for like $400 or something, so they're going to resell for crazy amounts. But as a shoe, I think they're fucking gash. But I think the friends and family version are actually way better than the retail version, and this, I think, is what should have come out. It should have been the reverse. This should have been the retail version, and the black version as a retail should have been a friends and family, because this fits and looks way better. If anything, what I would have done, similar to the Clot Nike Dunks, is that maybe I would have made the outsole a bit translucent, a little bit gummy. Maybe this would have been icy sole. And look at the up leather. The leather's tumbled, right? Is it tumbled or pebbled leather? This is going to be so buttery, smooth, and soft. I would have made the outsole a little bit more translucent, see-through. Maybe this would have been like, again, the same Tiffany color, but just see-through. That would have been looking amazing. Or even made that midsole look that way. That would look great. And then, of course, I would have chucked out these laces, because I think these laces are horrible on Air Force Ones. They're already quite chunky shoes. So putting really chunky rope, tubular, cylindrical laces on them just look rubbish to me, and they remind me of those horrible customs that you see online. So I would get rid of these laces ASAP and just have some nice flat, maybe even leather laces on them. Actually, they would or wax laces, sorry, would look really cool on them. But anything else apart from that, I think they look really, really nice. Or maybe another addition to kind of give them a bit of spark. Maybe I would have switched the swoosh on the inside. I would have maybe made the inside swoosh tonal, so it kind of, blends into the upper, so you don't see it on the inside, only on the outside. That would be quite cool. But this colorway, regardless, as is 100 times better than the retail version that's going to come out. And even the little bit of Tiffany, silver here at the back hits way different as well. Personally, for me, it looks way nicer in this silhouette or this color grade or this colors all together. It looks way better, and it fits the whole image of it better. So whoever designed these, you did a great job. Whoever designed the actual retail ones, you absolutely fumbled the bag. These look way better, and I'm sure the sneakerheads out there that actually want them are going to be fighting tooth and nail to get these over the black pairs for sure, because these look 10 times better for me personally. But again, what do I know? Next, I want to quickly talk about this, which I think is rather interesting, and I want to make sure that I kind of highlight it. So this is courtesy of Over Under, and it's regarding the Jordan 4 SBs. Weird, right? Nike SB and Jordan 4s. Think about that. So for whatever reason, Nike Skateboarding has decided to try to update or absorb the Jordan 4s as a skateboarding shoe. Now, this isn't shocking, because if you know what's what, you would know from back in the day when they originally released, loads of skateboarders would wear basketball shoes as basically quasi skateboarding shoes. You see old pictures in the 80s of people wearing Jordan 1s, or people wearing Terminators, or people wearing Dunks and stuff back in the day when there wasn't specific skateboarding shoes being made. And obviously over time, brands popped up, DCs, whatever it may be, alphanumerics, that was starting to make ES specific skateboarding shoes. But obviously some of the big, sportswear brands like Adidas and Nike decided to also get involved and update their models to fit skateboarding needs. A good example being the Dunk. They took the Dunk, and I think especially with the Dunk, with the skateboarding edition, when they first launched them, they added the addition of a really puffy tongue, which obviously kind of lent itself to what people were doing in skateboarding in terms of the puffy tongues that you had in DCs and whatnot. And then in some cases, when they updated the Dunks further on along the line, they decided to really then try to look at the materials. So a lot of the early Dunk SBs were usually made with suedes or nubucks around the top, around the toe box, so that if you were ollieing or whatnot, or your feet were rubbing along the grip tape of your skateboard when you're doing tricks like hill flips, ollies, kick flips, or whatever it may be, it'll be a bit more durable. Sometimes they would put some double stitching along the toe box to make sure that they were a little bit more sturdy. They might reinforce the lining on some of them. And then later on down the line, what they did, I forgot the name of it, but Nike developed a specific insole that was only made for skateboarding shoes. So if you bought a Nike SB shoe, they'd make this specific insole, I think it was like yellow at the bottom, that was really bouncy and really soft, so that it would kind of help you if you were kind of landing really hard on the floor after skateboarding. So they do these little things to kind of update the models. And of course, they'd make their own model also. But there's also been a history of skateboarders wearing basketball shoes and skateboarding in them also. There's been a history of skateboarders wearing flipping Timberlands and skateboarding in them, right? Watch old Zoo York videos and you'll see guys in Timbs and stuff skateboarding and doing some amazing shit. And Jordans have always been a part of it. And I always thought shoes like the Jordan 4, which has always been one of my favorites, because it kind of looks like a cross trainer. And that's kind of been my favorite era. And again, the Jordan 4 was designed by Tinker Hatfield, who also designed the Nike Air Trainer 1, which are usually my kind of favorite era of like Nikes, that kind of like late 80s, early 90s kind of period, where stuff was kind of a bit more cross trainer looking wise, loads of panels, kind of mid cut. It had the really nice sort of like triangle boxy type of shape on the shoe. I just like that whole aesthetic behind it. Usually the outsole grip was really grippy and whatnot. The colors are really simple and cool, but just amazing. And I always thought Jordan 4s would be a great addition for SB. And, all intents and purposes, to put it out there as a full disclosure, Jordan 4s are my favorite Jordans. Always have been, not even ones. I've always been a fan of Jordan 4s over Jordan 1s any day of the week. Especially, I still think it's probably Tinker Hatfield's probably best design overall. But I always thought they'd lend itself really well to skateboarding, but they always fall a bit too clunky. Anyone that's worn Jordan 4s, they're quite big and boxy shoes. So when I heard that SBs were trying to make them into a skateboarding shoe, I was like, how are they going to do that? Because they're really heavy and they're really clunky feeling looking wise. They don't really feel like the thing that you would want to wear to like even go on the run, so let alone skateboard with. So I'm interested to see what happened. But now we've got an official colorway of the first shoe to drop under SB Jordan 4, which is this sail and pine colorway, which is really nice because if I'm not mistaken, I've never seen this color in a Jordan 4 before. Maybe there's an OG version of this that came out when the Jordan 4 originally released, but I've never seen this combination of this kind of white with the sail, with the kind of gray suede on the toe box, and this kind of gum outsole. I've never seen it before. The closest I've seen is maybe the Pure Monies, is maybe the Military Blues. That was a similar sort of colorway scheme, but I've never seen this kind of green adapting. It's really nice and really nice kind of approach, because the good thing I like about its colorway is that it gives you a good indication where they're going to go going forward. If they're dropping such a classic-y looking colorway, it means going forward we're going to see some really simple stuff done that's going to be very SB specific. So for sure we're going to see an all black Jordan 4 with a gum sole, with a white midsole. It's going to look incredible. We're definitely going to see something with just like, white as the base and loads of different accent colors. So maybe we'll see this same color, the same colorway scheme done in red, done in blue, done in yellow, which I think is going to make the Jordan, that model, it works better with that kind of, limited kind of 3 to 4 color palette choices. But so far, this looks really cool. So the initial picture we have here, we have the massive Nike swoosh at the back with the SB at the back. For the longest time, Jordans, I don't know why, Jordan brand would be really tight, and every retro they released, they would never release it with a Nike on the back. It would always be the Jumpman. So you could always discern between an OG or a more valuable pair of Jordans, between whether or not they had the correct shape, different materials, or if they had a Jumpman logo or the Nike logo. And obviously the Nike logo looks just more sick, innit? Because you got Jordan at the front, you got Nike at the back. It just looks absolutely incredible, and obviously represents a really good era and time. So you got that going on there. And then also, as you look closer onto the side picture of the Jordan, you've got this nice mesh, nice color balance on there. You've got the plush on the inside with the white. And then the best thing about them, which I've never seen so far in a Jordan, to my experience. The only thing I could think of maybe the undefeated ones, but I've never seen a Jordan 4 that's got a combination of leather and suede in this kind of. Usually, I think even the all suede ones, like Eminem ones, are all suede. But this combination of having a bit of leather here on the top and this suede bit at the bottom is really nice towards the mudguard or to the toe guard. It looks really cool. And I'm assuming this addition has been added to kind of make them more skateboarding friendly. But I would also like to know what it is. So when they do originally release, or when they do come out officially, I hope Nike SB are going to put out some information or some pamphlets, some video, something, so to give us an idea on what they've done to actually update this for skateboarding. Because I'd hope they'd have, because there was pictures being released of like, what's his name? Paul Rodriguez and somebody else, I forgot the other guy's name, who were doing wear test with a pair of Jordan 4s. And they were obviously kind of, skating in them and kind of reporting back to designers and letting them know what tweaks could be made to improve them. But on the face of them, to the naked eye, they just look like regular Jordan 4s. But I'm sure they have improved them. But I'd like to know what the improvements are. Have they kind of switched out some of the, the lining? Have they reduced the weight? I don't know. Have they made them more? Have they added more flipping ventilation in them? What have they done actually to make them more skateboard proof? I hope it's just not this suede mudguard and a gum sole that's more sticky. Hopefully it's more to kind of make them more, because that'd make these more desirable to purchase. But I'm still going to get them regardless, because the colorway is fucking fire. But these look really, really, really nice. They come out amazing, and I can't wait to see more colorways coming at them soon. They look even better here and towards the front here. You got again this nice gray mudguard here, or kind of mudguard, toe guard, whatever here toward the front. Nice white here with the mesh, nice laces. You got the Jumpman flight logo there on the tongue also. They look absolutely banging to me. I love them. They look really, really, really good, and I cannot wait for them to come out. I think, what they say the date here about them coming out here? What they say? I don't think they got a date on them so far. I don't think we got a date. I don't think so. Let me double check here. This other video from Over Under. You got a clip of them here, sat next to a skateboard. But these look great. They're gonna look amazing with a pair of shorts on, or some pants and whatnot. These look really, really good. I can't wait to see them on person when they do eventually come out. No idea on the date or when they are going to come out. Is a little short video showing them in hand. They look absolutely fire though. That colorway is so good. The gum sole as well is a nice little touch on them also. But yeah, these are going to do absolute numbers when they come out, I think. But I'm all over these. Definitely get me a pair of these in a size 11, please. Please, for the love of God. No idea on the date so far. Yeah, everyone's saying I need these ASAP. No other information on the date so far, but I do like them. Like I said, I really do hope they do go out their way to explain, like, hey, here's what we've done to update them to make them more SBified, and they're not just they don't just take a Jordan 4 and just slap the SB on it. Like, actually tell us what happened, and create a story. Sell us a dream, please, Nike. Sell us a dream. But yeah, I love these. They're absolutely incredible. I'm a big fan of them. Cannot wait to purchase when they do eventually drop. Cannot wait to purchase. What else do we have here? Boom, boom, boom. We got that. But oh yeah, let's talk about this also, right? What else I said that? No, did I mention that? I didn't mention that. I mentioned this. I'm just quickly looking at the list of my options that I got here in terms of topics. Bear with me 1 second. Bada bing, bada boom. We said that. We said this. Oh yeah, let's talk about this. Cool. And then also, last bit of sneaker news. Okay, I mentioned these, even though these already dropped. I quickly want to give them a shout out because I think it always is deserved to kind of highlight these things because I think it kind of doesn't get said enough. But I just want to put it on record on my end. So this is courtesy of Supreme. This is regarding their recent collaboration with Nike for a pair of Air Bakin, which I'm not that even familiar with. And again, I think my sneaker knowledge is pretty decent, but even I wasn't familiar with the model themselves. And I want to give Supreme incredible props for always going out of their way. Whenever they do Nike collaborations, for the most part, they always challenge themselves and try to do a collaboration with a fresh model. They don't always do the same old nonsense tired thing. They always try and push and challenge themselves to, improve, adapt, and kind of, do their thing on a model that's probably not getting a lot of love or maybe is a little bit, overlooked and whatnot. And a good example is this Nike Air Bakin, courtesy of Supreme. So it says the following. Supreme has worked with Nike on a new version of the Nike Air Bakin for spring. The shoe features a synthetic pebbled leather upper with nubuck side panel, mesh underlay quarter panel, rubber outsole, molded logo toe panel, visible heel airbag, inset swoosh, mesh tongue with molded logo, co-branded footbed webbing loop at the heel with high density printed logo, rubber panel on the collar, and an embroidered graphic at the heel. Made exclusive for Supreme, the Air Bakin will be offered in 2 colorways. I've said it before, but their product descriptions give me a boner. I love the detail they go into the product descriptions, from the zip fly to panel pockets, disclosure. I fucking love their product descriptions. So good. But yeah, the Air Bakin looks really amazing. They got this colorway that's like a rainbowish type colorway with like black. So you got this nice kind of gradient on the top here. It goes from yellow all the way to like a purple, to like a lilac, to like a blue at the back here. It's really, really lovely. Obviously look like they're basically a basketball shoe, I'd imagine. Again, the first time ever I've seen an Air Bakin in my life. I've never ever seen them before. But they look amazing. And they also kind of remind me a little bit of an ACG. There's an ACG model that looks a little bit similar, where the laces go right towards the front here. You see how you got that kind of, you got that exaggerated lace system where it goes right to the end. So it goes right to the end of the toe box and right here to the front. They kind of remember a bit of an ACG. And you got this nice air bubble at the back here, and then a swoosh on the what you call it, on your instep or the outside of your instep. Looks nice with the NYC here on the back, and they've got the Supreme pull tab like with the logo on it as well. Like, so lovely. The colorway is great, and then they've got this all white colorway that looks beautiful also. That kind of reminds me more of like a flight is it flight post or flight post, whatever they're called. Well, the outfit looked really nice. Yeah, the whites look great, don't they? Look at that. That is luscious, pristine white, coke white, as flipping Pusha T would say. Again, we got the translucent sole airbag here, and you have to also imagine when Supreme do the collaborations, they always include a white pair, which I think is really cool. Like, I wonder if it's like a thing about a nod to like white Air Force Ones, but I do like it because it kind of takes guts and balls and courage, really, because you get a chance to collaborate with Nike. Why would you make an all white shoe, right? Somebody would be like, oh, I want to take advantage of this opportunity. Let's just get a shoe. Let's do as much as we can with it and really stamp our mark on it. You know what I mean? Putting out a white shoe is like kind of like, you kind of trusting your design principles, you're trusting your eye, you're trusting your taste, you're trusting your vision that it's going to seep through an all white shoe without all the extra rah-rah, which looks great to me. If anything, the white's actually better than the colorful, which is weird. I wouldn't actually say that, but the whites look absolutely great. And I'm sure they look better on these model pictures. I'm sure they won't look as great on me when I actually put them on. But I do like, again, the courage to pick a model that's not that popular and obviously make it hot and still sell it out is great. I do love the look of them. I think they got sold out anyway. I'm pretty sure they got sold out. As you can see, you got that rainbow color. It's got the Supreme logo on the insole. The same again with the whites as well, with the back as well, with the heel tab. They look amazing. And of course the hang tag there if you're one of the goons. And like I said, I remember there was a time back in the day where I used to wear my Jordans like this. You'd come with a little flight logo, or other trainers, even Huaraches. Huaraches used to have like a little tag that you put on the side and you wear it and you kind of walk around with it. but obviously over time he kind of pulled that off. And then of course I think Virgil Abloh actually was a person that kind of brought that shit back with his zip tie things. People would kind of leave those on. All my off-white shoes, I cut the zip tie off and threw it away. And there's people online reselling the zip ties for like, you know, a couple of pounds. But yeah, I'd close them straight away. But yeah, it's quite nice to see. I think they sold out anyway. Let me double check. I'm pretty sure they sold out the shoes. Let's see, but I'm sure they did sell out. Let's go on shop. View all. I'm pretty sure the shoes sold out. I'm pretty sure. But let's just double check just in case. I'm pretty sure the shoes sold out. They must have. If they didn't, you guys are bugging. But I do think it's a good nod to them if they did able to do that. Bring a shoe back that no one really knows about or it's a bit underloved and then sell it out. Yeah, see? All sold out. Amazing. And Air Bakin, again, I'm not really too familiar with the shoe, and I think my knowledge is pretty decent. I'm sure others are the same. Or maybe it's a thing it's a model a lot of Americans know because it's more of a basketball shoe. But the fact that it's sold out is absolutely incredible. That's really, really cool. They're able to do that. And for sure, what you know now going forward, Nike's going to retro these. Nike's going to retro these, and they're going to kill the market and absolutely bleed everyone dry by making these out again. I'm sure it's going to happen. Watch, you're going to see it. Nike's going to retro these and bring these back out again. It's going to happen. They always do this. They put a collaboration forward, and then they absolutely bleed the industry and the market dry by absolutely terminating them and bringing them all over the place. So definitely keep an eye out for them when they do eventually come out again. Anyway, I'm going to leave it for now because it's already approaching 3 hours. I don't want to do too much. I'm going to leave the rest of the topics for next episode. But that has been the AgostinhoZinga show live stream for once. I've never usually do live streams for the show. I usually pre-record these and then upload them later. But I try to do something different and kind of mix it up a little bit. So I hope you guys enjoyed. As I said previously at the beginning of the show, I'm going to try to make sure that I do the live streams like this for the AgostinhoZinga show, where I focus on the cultural comedy stuff and the fashion things, the things I spoke about today. And if you want to hear about random show stuff, I'll do that on a separate channel, which I've got, random show channel. I'll do that on there. For now, I'll obviously do them on both channels and obviously upload the live streams on the random show over there, but just to kind of keep things separate so that people are not getting confused and are getting annoyed, so that when I'm not streaming, so when I'm streaming on the AgostinhoZinga show, people are not like, oh my god, what are you doing? Talk about Brendan, and get angry at me, and I'm like, ah. So just to make everybody appeased and cool and whatnot, I'll make sure I split them and separate them. But hope you enjoyed. If you have any feedback or whatnot, let me know in the comments. I'd be open to hearing any of it. And yeah, nothing more for me really. All the links regarding myself, you know where to find them in the description. You can go to my website actually, but that's actually what I might get up now because I can do that now, can't I? I can load up my website. But yeah, you can check out my website. That's got all my listings really about moi in terms of finding the stuff that I do and whatnot. If you want to check out some of the things I get up to and whatnot, you can find it all on my website, which is agostinhozinga.com, all one word, my name. You can find all the stuff on there. And then I also have a specific website for the podcast also, which is the AgostinhoZinga show, all one word, which just loads up the flipping Libsyn, as you can see there. There we go, AgostinhoZinga show, all one word, the AgostinhoZinga show, all one word.com, the AgostinhoZinga.com. Load that and you can find all the links on there too, so you can see all the flipping podcasts and whatnot, and you can check them out and you can link me on my socials and all that malarkey. But for now, thank you so much, people, for hanging out with me. I appreciate every single one of you. If you are watching the video portion of the show, please make sure that you smash the like button down below. I do implore you, even if you don't like it, dislike it, that's fine. But just to engage with it, that would be greatly appreciated. And for those of you listening to the audio podcast, you will hear my tune of the day. And my tune of the day for the audio podcast today is definitely, it has to be a track from Don Toliver's Lovesick. The deluxe album is out right now. So for the end of the track, I'm going to play Luckily I'm Having featuring Tazz. So if you haven't listened to that already, please make sure you do. This is Don Toliver featuring Luckily I'm Having. That'll be my tune today. But for people watching on the video, this is the end. I'll see you guys